sat third in the table, so big pressure on them to win, especially after the Gloucestershire game earlier this afternoon.
Just apologies, actually, if you weren't getting any sound on the stream there. I'll have to hold my hands up there and say that was me. So we'll run through the sides again. Very apologies if you're listening on the live stream. If you're listening on BBC Radio Solent frequencies, then I'm sure you won't mind me going through the teams again. Hampshire have won the toss and elected to bat first. There's too much to think about, I'm afraid.
It's a Friday
Hampshire,
night.
I know. Hampshire made one change. There is no James Vince in the side tonight. He's with England, of course. So Toby Albert, the 19-year-old, comes into the side to play his first team game. Darcy Short, Tom Prest, we think will open. Toby Albert, Joe Weatherly, Colin de Grandhomme, James Fuller, Lewis McManus, Chris Wood captain in the side for the first time this evening. First time he's captained a first team fixture. Scott Curry, Mason Crane, Brad Wheel, and Somerset are James Hildreth, Devon Conway, who's going to keep wicket, Will Smead, Lewis Goldsworthy, George Bartlett, Tom Lammonby, Ben Green, Rola van der Merwe, Jack Brooks, Marshawn DeLanger, and Max Waller, who is looking for one more wicket to claim the most wickets by a Somerset player in T20 competitions. At the state of the South Group table, Hampshire prop it up at the moment. They have 7 points from 10 of 14 group fixtures. Middlesex above them with 7, and then Somerset, who've actually dropped down to 3rd because Gloucestershire won earlier today. Somerset have 14 points. They are sitting in 3rd of the top 4 places. Kent, Gloucestershire, Somerset and Surrey currently sit in the 4 qualifying slots. Melissa, Hampshire have had not a great time of this year in this competition. Haven't done over the last 2 or 3 years, unfortunately, but a good win against Gloucestershire the other night.
It was, and it showed what kind of young talent is coming up within this Hampshire setup with the likes of Tom Prest. Obviously said batting 2 today, so moved up by 1 position. And I think it's something to be looking forward to, as you mentioned. Hampshire's performance hasn't quite been there in the last few years, but with all this young talent coming up and a debut here today for Toby Albert, it's got promising signs for Hampshire in the next few years.
And they're being given not just an opportunity to play in these games, Melissa, but actually being put in the positions in the batting order. I mean, Tom Prest made his debut against Somerset earlier on down at Taunton, batting at number 3, which is a huge position. And here he is now, probably opening with Darcy Short, and Toby Albert coming in 3. You've got the 2 least experienced players coming in at a point where it's very important in terms of getting momentum in the game.
I think it's good though. It shows how much faith the Hampshire setup has in these younger players and how much they back the coaching and support they've been getting these last few years. So don't hide your younger players. Go and give them the best experience they can to play in front of this lovely home crowd here at the Ageas Bowl.
And Tom Prest, of course, was rewarded the faith shown in him in only his 3rd game by scoring 59 not out in that Gloucestershire win here on Friday night. And
a very exciting innings too, so hopefully we'll see more of those fireworks here tonight.
So overall, Hampshire coming into this game having lost 4 of their last 5. Somerset have won 6 of their last 7 in the games that they've played. They've had a couple of abandoned games in the middle of that. Glamorgan at Taunton, Sussex at Hove as well. Momentum very much with Somerset coming into this game, Melissa.
Absolutely, but I mean, the last time these 2 teams met in this competition, Somerset only won by 7 runs, and it was a very high-scoring contest with a lot of wickets. So I don't think Hampshire's going to give them an easy win here tonight, going out all guns blaring, and hopefully we'll have a good contest again, like that previous game earlier in the season.
And I tell you what, if Colin de Grandhomme comes up with the fireworks that he showed down in Taunton, 60-odd off just 30-odd deliveries, it was unbelievable. It was breathtaking to watch. Let's hope he does something similar tonight.
It's the magical mullet, I tell you. And obviously we've got Devon Conway coming in for Somerset as well, so a good display of some New Zealand talent here to complement all this homegrown talent as well.
Yeah, and Devon Conway's in good form for Somerset as well in this competition. 230 runs, averaging 78. I mean, averaging 78 in T20 competitions. I mean, that's unbelievable. I mean, you played T20. I mean, imagine averaging 78.
I'd love to average above 10, to be honest, but it's so impressive. And actually the average total in this competition so far this year, I think, it's only been 160, so it's really dropped from recent years. So these kind of big international players really give a bit of oomph to these batting lineups, and as you say, pushing these to hopefully quite a high total here for the crowd.
Let's go back to the Hampshire side then. Chris Wood, a 2 times winner of this competition, 2010 and 2012. What a moment for him to be leading the side out tonight.
He's actually tweeted recently that he's, it's always an honour, it's a dream he's always dreamed of. So it's really nice to see such a committed Hampshire player be rewarded with this opportunity, especially with that surprise call-up for James Vince.
So yes, Chris Wood, Scott Curry, a word for Scott Curry as well. When we're talking about youngsters, Prest, Albert, Scott Curry, I mean, he's still in the fledglings of his career. This is only his 8th T20 tonight, picking up wickets and looking very much the part.
And especially Hampshire's bowling lineup, as you mentioned, Scott Curry, I think they're quite an attacking and wicket-taking lineup. So if they can really fire here today, I think what we've seen fail across this competition is the Hampshire's batting lineup. So if the top 6, and especially those youngsters batting 2 and 3, can really fire today with that help of Colin de Grandhomme, then there'll be something for the bowlers to defend, and hopefully that will pull for a win for Hampshire.
It'd be nice, wouldn't it? I haven't seen too many of those this year, just the one that was at Essex at Chelmsford earlier in the competition. Somerset have got a great record here against Hampshire. They've won the last 3, and all by quite considerable margins. No game last year, of course it was all changed because of COVID. No game between these two. In fact, there was no, they were in separate groups in the end. But 2019, Somerset winning by 63 runs on the Duckworth-Lewis method, scored over 200 in their innings, with Babar Azam 100. 2018, Somerset winning that by 6 wickets. 2017, Somerset winning by 98 runs. You have to go back to 2016 for a Hampshire win. That was also quite large, by 83. Somerset also have done pretty well against Hampshire at Taunton. So unfortunately, the recent history of this fixture suggests a Somerset, you look at the table, suggests a Somerset win tonight as well, doesn't it?
The odds can be changed, you never know. There's a feeling in the air tonight here at the Ageas Bowl, so hopefully we can see another win like we did against Gloucestershire recently.
Thank you very much, Melissa. She'll be back very shortly with live commentary. We are just minutes away from the start here. In fact, I can see the Somerset fielders just about coming out, and the sunshine is out as well here at the Ageas. The attendance is being capped to around about 3,000. Whether 3,000 people turn up at all, I'm not sure. I think last week we didn't quite have 3,000, but they are generally members, and they're also what's called passport holders. So if you bought tickets for a run of these home games, then it's they who are here this evening. Melissa's gone for a little while, and let's welcome from BBC Somerset, Anthony Gibson. Evening.
Good evening, Kevin. It's great to be here at the Ageas Bowl on this lovely sunny evening, and welcome to listeners on BBC Radio Somerset DAB to the Ageas Bowl, where the news is that Hampshire have won the toss, and I think probably much to Somerset's pleasure have decided to bat first, because I'm quite sure if Somerset had won the toss they'd have elected to bowl first. So, and the team news for Somerset, obviously no Craig Overton, no Tom Banton, no Lewis Gregory, and no Tom Abel. The changes from the side that beat Middlesex are that Roelof van der Merwe comes in for Craig Overton, and James Hildreth comes back in place of Eddie Byram, having recovered from his hip injury.
I think Hampshire fans will be fairly happy there's no Tom Banton, because he smashed Hampshire around to all parts at Taunton. Do you think Somerset they've been sort of handicapped a bit? No Craig Overton, no Lewis Gregory, no Banton. Have they got enough players here to fill those shoes?
Well, we'll see. The feeling in Somerset is that we've been a bit hard done by one way and another, particularly with the England call-ups, but at least Lewis Gregory and Craig Overton did play in the first one-day international against Pakistan, so that was fair enough.
So it looks like, is it Marshall de Lange from the pavilion end? Is going to be bowling to the left-hander Darcy Short. So we're underway here as de Lange comes in. It's a length ball, and Short pushes that out square on the offside, and there is no run. Well, Darcy Short's been a bit short of runs, it has to be said. 171 before tonight in 7 innings. and a top score of 48. Waiting for that big one from him, Anthony.
He didn't get many runs at Taunton, did he?
Not too many. No, he sort of keeps getting starts and then getting out. That's turned away on the leg side into the gap at mid-wicket. So Hampshire are underway. Second ball of their innings, having won the toss, selected to bat first, and they are one without loss. And in fact, it's Toby Albert that's opening with Darcy Short.
Yeah, having said that, he actually got 37, which was one of the better, second highest score for Hampshire in that defeat at Taunton. And Somerset have beaten Hampshire in this competition twice as often as Hampshire have beaten Somerset, which is right. The only county of which that can be said.
Yeah, it feels right. That feels right, actually. Every time I go to Taunton, come here, always on the losing side, or it feels that way as Delanga comes in, right arm over. Bowls to Albert. It's a length ball. Albert just prods that back to the bowler, and there's no run. So first ball safely negotiated by the youngster, playing his first team game here this evening, filling in for James Vince.
Yep, first time I've seen Toby Albert.
Yeah, I've never seen him before either. So me and you both.
But he is a local boy. He is a Hampshire-born, Basingstoke.
Yep.
A rare bird indeed.
Not too many of them. As Marshall Delanga, of course, is very close, having been born in Somerset, fields off his own bowling. How far away would you say Marshall Delanga is from Somerset, where he was born?
Well, perhaps he was born in Western Province.
I thought you were going to say Western Supermare there for a minute.
No, I don't think we can. He wasn't even born in Western Province. He was born in Transvaal, so I don't think we can have any claim on Marshall Delanga.
Here comes Delanga, then bowls, and is short, and he gets a glove just over the outstretched arms of Devon Conway. It's going down towards the boundary. It's picked up just inside, and they will pick up two. That's a good piece of fielding down there below us. That's Tom Lammonby, just diving alongside the rope. 3 without loss then, and Albert definitely got a glove to that.
2 debutant captains this evening. You've got Chris Wood, we've got Max Waller.
Yeah, that's good, isn't it? I mean, and 2 players that have contributed a lot to T20 cricket, aren't they?
Yep. Max Waller, equal highest wicket taker in this form of the game for Somerset with Alfonso Thomas.
Hampshire's bowling coach. Always playing a missing outside the off stump. He got Albert on the front foot there, and Albert was a little bit late on that. Went through to Devon Conway. First over done. Hampshire 3 without loss.
Yeah, it looks like a decent pitch, this one. It's almost straw-coloured, and it looks like a fresh pitch as well. So hopefully we'll get a bit of carry through to the wicket keepers, and some encouragement for the stroke makers on both sides. Somerset, of course, without 4 players who would normally be in their T20 lineup in Gregory, Overton, Abel and Banton, but Hampshire similarly missing James Vince. We're going to have Jack Brooks coming into the attack from the Meon Valley end, or possibly the hotel end. We're sitting in the commentary position in the hotel on the far side of the ground, but for once I don't have to peer through dusty screens. We've actually got a very good view from up here, so no complaints on that score. It is Brooks, and he is bowling to Short, who plays that into the offside, and Roloff van der Merwe, who makes a welcome return to the T20 side for Somerset, recovers from a side strain. And one of 3 Somerset lower order batsmen who scored 75 or more in the game against Leicestershire in the county championship that's just finished, as Brooks is in and bowls to Short, who pulls that away into the onside without timing it, and Lammonby fields, and they take a single. Score moves on to 4 without loss. Yeah, it's the first time that numbers 8, 9 and 10 had scored 75 or more in the same innings since 1908.
Oh, we love a stat.
In an Australian test trial, and that's the only other occasion on which it's happened. But I'm afraid it was more to do with the quality of the pitch, which was an absolute feather bed. Here's Brooks in and bowls to Albert, who gets that in the air down to third man, and will pick up a single as it's fielded down there on the third man boundary by Marchant Delanga. 5 without loss.
So how many wins? So you've got, what, 3 games left, haven't you, including this? What have you targeted? 2? 2 out of the 3?
2 out of the 3, yeah. Here's Brooks. In the bowl's too short. It pulls that away. It's in the air. Should be a catch. It's taken out in the deep. Well, I'm not sure who that is. He's a long way away. It's probably Will Smead, but I'm not putting any money on it. But it's an important wicket. Darcy Short has gone cheaply again for just 2, and Hampshire in the second over 5 for 1. He went for the pull shot, didn't get hold of it at all, and a straightforward catch on the deep square leg boundary.
I know he's very disappointed with his performances for Hampshire so far. He feels he should have done a lot better than he has. For me, he never really seems to have middled the ball, you know, in any sort of, you know, frequently or regularly, you know, in any innings. You know, the ball never seems to be pinging off the bat of his. It all seems to sort of, you know, it goes in the air, it doesn't go that as far as it should do, and the drives, it's not pinging off the middle of his bat, which suggests, you know, that he's not in fantastic nick. And I guess the fact that even though he was in that Australian squad that's gone over to the West Indies to play some one-day international cricket and some T20s, I think they're playing some international white ball anyway. And it was a big squad, and he didn't make the final cut. And I just think that's another example of why he hasn't.
So who's the new batsman? The scoreboard hasn't. It's Tom Prest. Brooks is in and bowls to him and takes him on the pad. Hildreth appeals from slip. It was Will Smead who took the catch out in the deep, and that was in fact his 5th catch of this T20 campaign. Yes, Somerset are in second in the South Group with 14 points from 11 games, 6 wins, 3 losses.
They dropped one because Gloucestershire won earlier.
Oh, have they? Right.
Yeah.
Here's Brooks in and bowls, and this is punched away through the offside. Nice shot from Toby Albert. They'd crossed, of course, and just gave himself a little bit of room outside the off stump and timed it away backward of square. End of the second over, and it's 9 for 1.
I tell you what, I like the look of Albert already. That is an absolutely super shot off the back foot. Just used the pace of the ball. That hit the middle of the bat. I was talking about Darcy Short earlier. Believe me, that came out of the middle of the bat, and there's a world of difference. As I say, Darcy might be out of nick a little bit, which is horrible when you're trying to play for a new team and trying to impress. But wow, that was a seriously good shot. At 9 for 1, then we've had 2 overs of the 20, and Roland van der Merwe, who's going to arrow that ball in with his, I say left arm spin, but he does fire it in, but he bowls a good line and he's difficult to get away. He'll be bowling to Tom Prest. Interesting that Hampshire have kept Tom Prest in at the number 3 spot, which he's been doing in his previous 3 T20s. And to be fair to him, having looked very nervous down at Taunton, he's progressively got better, and probably the right decision to keep him in at number 3, especially after his 59 not out. Drives on the up, out into the covers. They're going to take a quick single. My word, Albert had to rush through at the keeper's end there. But 2 youngsters out there in the middle. The running might be interesting here, Anthony.
Yep.
10 for 1 in the third. Van der Merwe from the pavilion end. He's got a slip in. That's Hildreth, who's back in the side. There's bowls, and there's a reverse sweep, and Hildreth's into the game already, just diving to his right. Didn't quite get hold of that, Toby Albert, but he looks as though he's trying to play 1 or 2 shots, and that's good. Obviously not looking particularly nervous, which is also pretty good. 19 years of age. No, I would be. As Roland van der Merwe comes in again and bowls. Albert drives, and that's straight to extra cover, and there's no run. Strong shot. A good piece of fielding there.
Goldsworthy, that is.
Of course, the diminutive figure.
The diminutive Lewis Goldsworthy.
He looks very small, especially from up here. Everybody looks small, but he looks smaller. Hildreth is going to drop back on the 45 on the offside here for Albert, just in case he gets out at the reverse sweep once more. Van der Merwe runs towards us and bowls. He gives himself some room, beats the outside edge, and he beats the off stump just.
A little bit of bounce and turn there, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Certainly bounce.
Yeah, but he gives himself just a little bit too much room, and Van der Merwe got excited there, jumped up in the air as soon as he realised that ball had beaten the bat. Kind of beaten the off stump by very much as Van der Merwe comes in again, and it's down the leg stump, and it wraps Albert on the pads, and Prest calls him through as an easy leg by. And that's signalled by the umpire. I didn't actually see him, but it must have been a leg by. 11 for 1, 12 for 1 now. The total has gone up by 2. Prest has 1, Albert has 7. Prest back on strike here. 2 balls left of over number 3. Van der Merwe bowls. Well, that has turned, and it's beaten the outside off stump again and beaten the outside edge. I know he's trying to open the face and play it through the offside, but it does look as though it's straightening a bit there, Anthony.
Yep. Are the pitches?
Not usually.
No, I was going to say the championship match. Yeah.
No, 4-day week. It didn't turn a thing. Now there's a slog sweep in the air. It's going to be safe. It's going to be 1 bounce, and it's going to be 4 runs over backward and square leg. Nice slog sweep there from Tom Prest to finish that over.
Yeah, he didn't quite get hold of it, but got enough of it to get it over the fielder at short fine leg. Only 2 men out, of course, in the power play. So 16 for 1 after 3 overs. What do you reckon par here is at the Ageas Bowl? What are sides batting first targeting?
You need 150, really. I mean, obviously we've only just sort of started playing here this year. Middlesex was rained off. In the Surrey game, Surrey got 146, Hampshire couldn't get there, they were 20 short. But against Gloucestershire here, Hampshire got 176, Gloucestershire got 166. So we're probably looking 160, 150, 160 as a minimum. Although I think with Van der Merwe there, that's already doing a little bit more for me.
Ben Green is coming into the attack. Right arm medium pace, 6 foot 2 inches tall, shock of dark hair. He's in and bowls and takes Toby Albert on the pads. Albert on 7, Prest on 5, 16 for 1. It's a fine evening here just to the north of Southampton. High clouds, floodlights are on. We don't really need them at the moment, and however many spectators there are, a couple of thousand scattered all around the ground. Green is in and bowls, and this is just with Albert looking to make room for himself, but followed rather by Ben Green. Ben Green, who has bowled really well in the last couple of T20 games, bowled 3 overs for 14 against Middlesex and 4 overs for 29 against Gloucestershire at Gloucester, and that included an expensive last over. He's in now bowling to, this is ramped up in the air and just clears the fielder running back from short third man and picks up 2 runs. Moves on to 9, 18 for 1. Didn't get hold of it as he would have liked to. It was a gentle ramp, not a full-blooded ramp.
It wasn't, was it? Sort of helped on the leg side. Right shot though, with the fielder up.
It's Green again to Albert, who drives that down the ground, and this is a better shot. Max Waller is in pursuit, but gives it up. 4 runs. That was rather in the slot from Ben Green. 22 for 1 in the 4th over. Hampshire, who won the toss. I was a bit surprised that they chose to bat. Is that the way they like to go?
If I'm honest, neither's working.
Ben Green then to bowl again. He's in bowling to Albert, who makes room for himself, and that's going to be caught, and is caught by the Somerset skipper, Max Waller. And that's the 2nd Hampshire wicket, 22 for 2. He just didn't get hold of that at all, Toby Albert. Clothed it to Max Waller at mid-off, and as comfortable a catch as they come.
Yeah, you could see Ben Green celebrating there. He just held that one back. Just a slightly slower ball. That's why Albert didn't time that. It was a comfortable catch at mid-off in the end. I think that's really clever bowling. We're seeing the future of T20 cricket with these players out here at the moment. Prest, who's just 18. Albert, 19. Ben Green, 23, but it's still young. This is only his 13th T20. He's still inexperienced at this level. You know, I think we're seeing a new generation of T20 players just in this power play here.
And the old man Max Waller taking the catch, which was his 86th catch in T20 cricket, which is more than any other Somerset cricketer has taken, and more than most other English cricketers have taken in T20 cricket. So 22 for 2. The new batsman is Joe Weatherly, but it's
no, de Grandon.
Oh, it's de Grandon. Oh, and he slower ball, and rather died on Devon Conway and indeed on Colin de Grandon. So 4 overs have gone. 22 for 2 are Hampshire, with the 2 men out, Short for 2 and Toby Albert, the debutant, for 13. Good over from Ben Green as well.
There was, yeah, some clever changes of pace there as well. Not easy bowling. That was an off-cutter there as well, which completely surprised de Grandon. We was expecting that to arrive a little quicker. I was mentioning sort of the future, you know, maybe the next decade of T20 players that we're watching already. Of course, Jack Brooks opening up, 37 years of age. I mean, he's actually been playing a bit in this competition, hasn't he?
He has, yeah, and he's done pretty well too. He's not played much T20 cricket over the years. This is only his 63rd game, and he's been around for a long time, Jack Brooks.
He has, yeah. Well, I remember him playing for Northants against Hampshire years and years and years ago. And of course he then went to Somerset. Now who have we got here as well? That's pulled up in the air. This could be out. Caught by the keeper. And Press goes now for 5. Jack Brooks back on. We've just been talking about him as well. He got hurried there, Prest. Ball got big on him. He goes for 5. And Hampshire, I'm afraid, once more, the batting is letting them down a little bit. They are 22 for 3.
Well, you know what they say about 3 wickets in the power play. But whilst Colin de Grandon is there, Hampshire will have plenty of optimism about the outcome of this innings. But yeah, good ball from Jack Brooks, and that was his 6th wicket in the this is the 7th T20 game he's played in this campaign, and it cost him just under 28. He's been going at 7.7 economy, which isn't too bad, particularly given that probably half of those T20 games have been played at Taunton, where 200 is par and batsmen rule.
Yeah. Well, Joe Weatherly into the middle, and he's been one of the few success stories with the bat for Hampshire. Just over 200 runs, averaging just under 30, with a decent strike rate of 127. Been quite consistent as well, Joe Weatherly, this season, and seems to have developed this shot where he plays this slog sweep sort of square on the leg side and gets quite a bit of power. We haven't seen too much of that in the past. Obviously a shot that he's been working on. He's facing Brooks. Bowls. Weatherly drives up to mid-off, and he was off the mark straight away. Hampshire 23 for 3 with work to do once more. Somerset getting the better of these early exchanges. In the 5th over here, 6 overs of the power play, of course.
Blissful when the music stops, isn't it? We've had rather too much music from a Hampshire perspective.
Yes, mainly being played when the wickets are falling. As Brooks bowls, it's a length ball to de Grandon, who plays that back to the bowler. Lot resting on de Grandon's shoulders already. No Vince to help him out tonight. Darcy Short's already gone for 2. The 2 youngsters have already gone.
What's the mood in the Hampshire camp after the disappointments of midweek?
Oh, listen, I think they did well to get to the point of getting into day 4, needing 8. He's trying to pull that away on the leg side and misses as the ball goes past the off stump through to Conway. I think that there was a mad session on day 3 where they picked up 8 wickets for about 30. So they went into day 4 ahead of the game, really. But unfortunately, Amler was just, I mean, he's something else. There's nobody that could play a knock like that bloke.
It's twice it's happened to you as well.
Yeah, it has.
Against Gloucestershire,
yes, it was disappointing. Yeah, it was disappointing there, just when against Gloucestershire. But on the other hand, he's playing a missing outside the off stump. Bit of bounce, and it left him as well outside the off stump. This is good bowling from Brooks. But at the end of the day, if you go into match 10 and getting in the top 2 is within your power, then you'd settle for that every day of the week, come March, April, whatever, when you look at those fixtures. So as long as Hampshire win, they're in the top 2. I think they'd settle for that. As down the wicket comes to Grandon. Again, it's a length ball. Brooks is bowling narrow straight here, making it very difficult for de Grandon. 23 for 3 at the end of that 5th over.
Yeah, we have rather mixed feelings about it in Somerset. It would suit us to go through with Hampshire.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if Gloucestershire beat Hampshire at Cheltenham next week, then Somerset are through regardless of what happens at the Oval.
Yeah.
If Hampshire win, then the chances are that Somerset will have had to have achieved at least a draw at the Oval.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I hadn't looked at it from a Somerset point of view. I automatically thought you guys were going to go through.
Well, you know, if we can get a draw, we're through.
Yeah.
But you know, Surrey are a pretty strong outfit, even without their England absentees.
Yeah. And without Jameson, you'd hardly bowled here.
Yeah, but they've recruited Ravi Ashwin.
They have, yeah.
Only Surrey would do that. Here's Ben Green into bowl to Weatherly, who pushes that square of the wicket out to Will Smead at backward point. Doesn't get a run. We're in the last over of the power play. 23 for 3, Hampshire. Ben Green to Weatherly. He's there in bowls. This is short of a length, and again just pushed into the offside, and Lewis Goldsworthy comes around from backward point stroke short third man to do the fielding. So 2 dot balls. Ben Green, he's in his 2nd over. 1 for 6 so far. Jack Brooks 2 for 7 in his 2 overs. Here's Green in and bowls. This is swept away for 6.
Huge one.
Slog sweep, beautifully timed.
Well, I mentioned that shot of his when he walked out to the wicket, and there it is straight away. And that's a big 6. Got right out of the middle of the bat.
Yep.
7 off.
Boundary ropes are in quite a long way on the western side of the ground. It's a big ground, this, if the ropes were right out on the boundaries themselves. Here's Green in and bowls to Weatherly, who will pick up at least 1. They'll think about a second. They're coming back for the second and will make it as Lamonby comes sprinting in from the mid-wicket boundary.
Yeah, you have to watch the 2s here. Yes, the boundaries are in a little bit away to our right, but when you're right on the boundary, and the Hampshire batsmen know this, they've played here long enough, they know that if that ball is out towards a 30-yard circle, there's always a good chance of running 2 if you run the first one quickly.
31 for 3 as Green bowls to Weatherly short, and that lands about 10 yards short of the fielder out at deep backward square leg. Sends in the return, just a single. 32 for 3.
Tell you what, there looks like there's a bit of bounce here as well, doesn't there? Yeah. In this wicket.
Lively pitch.
Yeah, it's if you bowl straight here.
Yeah. Here's Green. He's there and bowls, takes pace off that delivery, and this time they won't pinch 2. Pinch a second run as Lamonby is in from the boundary, and that concludes the power play. 33 for 3. Hampshire, which they'll be disappointed with.
Anthony Gibson is going to continue, and then alongside him, when he picks up his glasses, which have just dropped on the floor, fortunately they're okay, will be Melissa Story.
Thanks, Kevin. Yep. Colin de Grandon was 1 not out. Joe Weatherly not out 10. And good evening, Melissa. So we just glasses.
Not quite the start Hampshire were looking for then. But I mean, a gamble. We were talking about playing those young players, but hasn't quite played off for them now as Brooks continues from the pavilion end. A back of a length delivery, clipped into the offside for a quick single. De Grandon moving on to 2 now of 7 balls, so a slow start for him.
So who do you play your cricket for?
Mainly my club at the moment, so I play for Hursley Ladies in Hampshire. I've been at the University of Southampton for the last 3 years, but play for my men's side back in Wiltshire, and All sorts, basically.
So you're a Wiltshire girl?
I am a Wiltshire girl, though.
From Chippenham?
Yes, well, Corsham. Just I don't want to give my
Corsham,
entire address away.
Corsham, yeah, just down the road.
As we have a few field changes now. Deep square leg, deep fine leg, deep cover, and a long on as Brooks comes in. That's a back of the hand delivery, back to backwards point for a single. It's working it around nicely here.
Yes, Hampshire hopes pinned very much on de Grandhomme's broad shoulders, aren't they?
Absolutely. I mean, he's in very good form at the moment, luckily for Hampshire, but always a lot of pressure coming into the middle with that few runs on the board. Almost 7 overs gone. Brookson again, that's a shorter ball and soared into the nursery ground by de Grandhomme. Someone is going to have to fetch that ball from the other side of Southampton.
That's on it's on the nursery ground, yes. It landed in the car park, bouncing away into the nursery ground. That was a big hit.
That was.
It is the shorter boundary on that side, but even so, he picked that up beautifully.
We have some very bewildered looking ground staff. I'm not sure we're expecting a ball to come flying their way at this point in the evening, but that just shows the power de Grandhomme can have within this batting lineup, and if he's there in those final 5 overs, the destruction he can do.
Yeah, he's been going at a strike rate of 162.2 in this season's 3 games for Hampshire in the T20 Blast. Highest of 66.
And easily the highest out of all the Hampshire batters in terms of strike rate. The nearest you've got the likes of Wood and Fuller coming a bit lower down the order, but not many of the top Hampshire batters firing so far. Brooks in again and attempts the same shot here, but a Fuller delivery, and it's clubbed into the leg side, that vacant square leg.
Yeah, he just thumps his thigh there to Grandhomme in frustration that he didn't get hold of that, because it wasn't he was maybe into the shot just a little bit early, with Brooks taking a little bit of pace off that one.
What do you make of this pitch so far?
Well, I think it's quite lively. It seems to be, a little bit of bounce, a little bit of bounce for Van der Merwe, the left arm spinner as well.
It's nice to see when there's a bit more of that even balance. As Brooks in again, a Fuller ball clipped off the legs of Weatherly and saved in the deep by the deep square leg boundary fielder. They get through for 2 though, so good running again from Hampshire, who are having to make up for that bad start with a lot of quick singles now.
Yes, good piece of fielding out there. That's Tom Lammonby out there, who's not been having a great season.
Making up for it in the field, as they always say. Another ball, Brooks in and strikes Weatherly on the pads.
There's a collision between Brooks and de Grandhomme. I'm not sure. I think they came off equally badly, probably.
A bit feisty in the middle here at the Ageas Bowl. Hampshire 45 for 3 off 7 overs. So starting to rebuild a bit here, but it just shows how essential these 2 batsmen at the crease are going to be for Hampshire.
Well, Max Waller is going to come into the attack. He's bringing himself into the attack. He bowls, well, ostensibly he's leg breaks and googlies. He doesn't really bowl many leg breaks these days. They tend to be googlies and top spinners. But he's a very effective T20 bowler. He is Somerset's equal highest wicket taker in this form of the game. He needs 1 wicket to overtake Alfonso Thomas.
And such an exciting player to watch always.
Yeah.
I know every time he's on the TV, I'll make sure I just sit down for a watch, because he'll always bring you that wicket for Somerset.
He's going to be bowling to Joe Weatherly with, here he comes and bowls, and Weatherly plays that up to Roelof van der Merwe, who does the fielding down below us at long on. Do you think Weatherly is going to play the supporting role here to de Grandhomme?
I think he'll do whatever de Grandhomme tells him to do at this rate. The much senior player at the crease, I think Weatherly will be happy to be out there with him.
Well, it's de Grandhomme now facing Waller, who's right up to the bat and must have just taken the pad. I don't think that was given as a wide, was it? It was a wide. I was going to say it was certainly going down the leg side. This is lofted, it's not timed, but it's safe and lands just inside the boundary. Roelof van der Merwe thought he was in business there for a moment. didn't quite get hold of that, Colin de Grandhomme.
And perhaps just slightly an unnecessary shot for this point in the game. Hampshire need to focus on rebuilding, but I think it's the style de Grandhomme plays. He likes to take on those deep fielders.
Well, 50 is on the board for Hampshire, 51 for 3 now. We're in the 8th over. This is short, and this is up in the air, and this should be a catch. The fielder's coming round, and drops it! Just as I've dropped my glasses.
Multiple drops here around
he
the
got
ground.
2 hands to it. And
Tom Lammonby,
yeah,
I believe. And
Tom Lammonby couldn't cling on. Waller in again and bowls, and this is played to short mid-wicket. Disappointment there for Waller and Somerset. This is again lofted away. This won't go for 4 as Rolf van der Merwe does the fielding. They'll come back for 2, 55 for 3. You wonder how expensive that miss is going to be. He did the hard part, Tom Lammonby. He got to it, got 2 hands to it, and then as he hit the deck, out popped the ball. Waller's in and bowls. This is down the leg side and helped on his way down to the long leg boundary for 4 runs, 59 for 3. De Grandhomme moves on to 21 from 14 deliveries with 2 4s and a 6. That could be an expensive miss.
And the versatility of Colin de Grandhomme there in that final shot, going from that massive, powerful shot just before he was dropped on to just a delicate touch down the leg side to guide that for 4. But as you said, it was almost just when his elbows hit the ground. I know boundary fielders around the country will know that pain when you've done the legs and you've got to the ball and it's just evades your hand at the last second. But
yes, he'd be very disappointed. He's
interesting. In terms of spin, as we see van der Merwe come back into the attack here for Somerset, the amount of spin being bowled in the T20 competition in England has gone up so much in these last 2 years. At 40% of the bowling was spin last year, and it's increasing more and more. So Somerset has a lot of spin options today, but so does Hampshire later on.
Yeah, we've got van der Merwe, Waller, and of course Goldsworthy.
And van der Merwe to Weatherly, who defends the ball out into the offside for no run. I like that attacking fielder there from Somerset. Someone still quite close in at that extra cover. And just seeing, as we saw a bit of spin in van der Merwe's first over at the top of his mark. Deep square, deep mid-wicket, long on, long off, and a deep cover. He comes into Weatherly, who clips it off his legs to the 45 fielder in the ring at fine leg for a single. Score moves on to 60 for 3 off 8.2 overs.
Yeah, Hampshire will want to maintain the momentum, and as long as de Grandhomme's there, there's no reason why they shouldn't.
The Hampshire lower order has had quite a lot of work to do recently with batting, so I think they'll be hoping to keep their pads on in the changing rooms for just a bit longer compared to the big rush these recent weeks, as van der Merwe in again to de Grandhomme. Ball down the leg side and signalled wide by the umpire.
How long is de Grandhomme with Hampshire? Is for the duration of this competition, for the qualifying stage?
As van der Merwe in again, back of a length delivery and cut to a backwards point, but he's sent back by his partner. No run to de Grandhomme there. I was going to say, I think I'm the wrong person to ask, but as Kev suggested there, not here for the entire season, but still important signing for Hampshire already, as he's proved in the county championship and in these T20 games so far. 5th ball of the over. Van der Merwe past the umpire, bowls, and again a flatter delivery and strikes de Grandhomme on the pads. On the big, a very optimistic appeal there from van der Merwe.
Not supported by Devon Conway, the wicketkeeper, who of course will have played a lot of cricket with de Grandhomme in New Zealand.
Surprised he didn't appeal just to see if see if he could get his mate out.
We're at sort of fine third man with the bowling from the pavilion end, so we can't really pass judgment on LBW shouts.
Final ball there, van der Merwe in, full of flighted delivery and just clipped away to that point for another quick single. Weatherly maintains the strike for the next over. Hampshire 63 for 3 off 9 overs.
Yeah, better over that from Rolf van der Merwe after Max Waller had gone for 14 in his over.
He's such an experienced... Oh, apologies,
one
ball
because we
remaining
had a wide,
because of the
didn't we?
wide
We
ball.
had a wide. I may have spoken too soon if this one goes for 6.
Let's hope he didn't jinx it, as his final ball this time of the over. It's just clipped off the pads to Grantham, but straight to the deep mid-wicket fielder for a gentle single between the wickets. Now the end of the over, Hampshire 64 for 3.
Yep. It's evenly poised at the moment. They do say that sides who lose 3 wickets in the power play rarely win, but I think that those sorts of rules of thumb are there to be broken. So.
Absolutely, and you see more and more teams. We were discussing earlier this week in the County Championship how you genuinely don't see many tail enders anymore, especially in the T20 format.
No.
Bowlers are expected to bat all the way to 11.
I was telling Kevin that 8, 9 and 10 for Somerset against Leicestershire all scored 75 or more in the game against Leicestershire. And the Leicestershire 8th wicket partnership broke the Leicestershire record with a partnership of 203 between Harry Swindles and Ed Barnes. So, but it was a very flat pitch.
Oh, don't say that.
Here's Lewis Goldsworthy with his slow left arm. That's up in the air, and it's going to be 6. Picked up over extra cover, inside out shot, beautifully timed. 70 goes on the board, 70 for 3. Didn't try and hit it too hard. Goldsworthy bowls to de Grandhomme. Is caught at short mid-wicket by Ben Green, I think that is, and he just didn't get hold of that, and that's a vital wicket for the Cornish youngster Lewis Goldsworthy. It's Colin de Grandhomme who has gone for 22, I think he made. 28. The computer hasn't come up.
Deliveries.
28.
It's unusual. He never looked, although he was timing some of those big sixes, he never looked truly comfortable at the crease. And I was just about to remark how his wagon wheel was all around the ground, but that shot there didn't quite get the elevation to get over the mid-wicket fielder's head. And a big wicket for both teams. Somerset will be very relieved after that dropped catch from.
It was a good catch as well, high above his head.
And again, Lewis McManus, the new batter, has a lot of responsibility here. We're not even halfway through this first innings here at the Ageas Bowl, this game between Somerset and Hampshire. An important game for Somerset to reach that top of the table spot.
Yeah, I think Somerset will hope, well, they'd like to win all 3 of their remaining games, but 2 out of the 3 would probably see them through. Goldsworthy is into, nearly another catch to Ben Green. It was James Hildreth who took the catch. Beg your pardon, James. It was a good catch, leaping and almost getting on the end of another uppish shot into the onside.
I must say, I think you leaped higher than Hildreth did out on the pitch up in here. The elation on your face when Somerset got that wicket was remarkable.
Well, big wicket. You know, he's capable of winning the game on his own, Colin de Grandhomme. Goldsworthy in and bowls, and defensive push from Weatherly. 71 for 4. And Lewis Goldsworthy yet again demonstrating his value as an all-rounder. Middle order batsman, slow left arm bowler. Weatherly makes room for himself this time and just plays that square of the wicket on the offside.
A lot of responsibility here on Weatherly. Top run scorer so far for Hampshire in this competition, but only averaging 29. Big comparison to the Somerset players, and they're quite high averages. McManus averaging 15.
Here's Goldsworthy to McManus, who's back on his stumps. A quicker delivery, well bowled, Lewis Goldsworthy. Just hurried the batsman there. Brings that over to an end. It's the 10th over, it's the halfway stage, and at the end of it, Hampshire 72 for 4, short 2, Albert 13, Tom Prest 5, and in that over, Colin de Grandhomme caught James Hildreth, bowled Goldsworthy for 28.
What kind of score do you reckon will be par here tonight?
Well, I asked Kevin that, and he said you need at least 150. I think Hampshire are going to have to go some, probably, to, what would that be? That would be 8 and over. That shouldn't be beyond them.
Van der Merwe to continue from the pavilion end. He's bowling in a lofted drive towards the extra cover region here, but lands short of the 2 fielders converging in the deep. And Weatherly sneaks through for another 2 runs. The main man here in the Hampshire's first innings total. As I was mentioning, McManus only 92 runs so far in this competition, so has a role to play here. Needs to get some runs for Hampshire. Van der Merwe still very spread field here at the Ageas Bowl. Into Weatherly, and a peel from behind, and the keeper quick hands there from Conway behind the stumps. A big sweep outside off stump.
Yeah, he's not a regular wicket keeper, but he's pretty useful. But a little bit of bounce again there for Roelof van der Merwe, which defeated the attacking shot.
These Hampshire spinners will be looking at this pitch and thinking there's just a bit for them here. It's Van der Merwe in again, the fuller delivery, clipped off the legs into in front of scare at mid-wicket, and they're coming through for a 2, and it's getting close at the bowler's end, but the batters sneak through for 2 runs. Weatherly moves on to 21, and the ball there almost in from the fielder kind of lodged in the pitch, and you suspect that if it hadn't have been, you know, thrown in on the full.
He needed to hit though, didn't he? And he wasn't throwing to hit, he was throwing to deliver it on the bounce to the bowler.
Van der Merwe, 4th ball of the over, and a driven in the air, dropped to extra cover by the fielder, straight into his hands. Weatherly drove the ball, and again that close catching extra cover fielder.
Max Waller, that's the captain.
Oh gosh, I've had a few of those.
He never drops anything.
Nothing worse, captain at extra cover, catch straight to you, and the shame of all your teammates staring at you.
He's got his hands on his knees. What must he be thinking?
Hit hard though by Weatherly.
Yeah, but you'd expect Max to catch that.
Van der Merwe in again. After that dot ball, the ball is hit up to long on by Weatherly. He's happy with just a single here, looking to hopefully retain the strike for this next over. 1 ball remaining from Van der Merwe, bowling to McManus.
How much batting have Hampshire got to come? What have we got?
The short answer, not a lot.
Well, James Fuller, he can play a bit.
Fuller 125 runs in this tournament so far, so averaging 20 as Van der Merwe, final ball of the over, and clipped into square leg by McManus for just a single. Fielded in the deep there by the fielder at the end of that over. A chance in that over for Somerset, but dropped by the captain Waller. Hampshire 78 for 4 off 11 overs.
Yeah, Somerset not helping themselves with drop catches. They dropped a couple in the county championship match against Leicestershire. They dropped Harry Swindles. He was dropped at first slip by James Hildreth when he was 28. Went on to make 180 odd. And
I think they need to apply university rules to drop catches here. It's a big deterrence in our setup that if you drop a catch, you've got to drink a pint out of your shoe. So tell that to the Somerset boys and you'll never see another drop catch.
Here's Waller trying to make amends, tosses this one up, and that's played square of the wicket out to Marchant de Lange, who's patrolling the cover boundary. Another run goes on the board.
Of course, de Lange only bowled 1 over so far, and those Yorkers in these final overs are going to be hard to get away.
Yep. It's Waller driven down the ground and cut off by Van der Merwe, who's a brilliant fielder anywhere on the ground. Takes slip catches for fun. Got a terrific arm. Very rarely see him drop anything. As Waller is in and bowls to McManus, who picks up a single out to Lammonby, coming in from mid-wicket. 81 for 4. We're in the 12th over.
And Waller getting through his overs quickly here, rushing the Hampshire batters as he always does.
He's bowling to Weatherly. This is again driven up to Van der Merwe down below us for another single. The 1s and 2s coming, but as so often in these middle overs, the boundary's rather drying up. Waller to McManus. It's a full toss, and that has gone for 6 runs away over mid-wicket. Poor delivery from Max Waller, handsomely dealt with by Lewis McManus. 6 runs, 88 for 4.
And a classic commentator's curse. No boundaries, and straight afterwards a big 6 there from McManus.
Here's Waller in and bowls. This is driven again up to Roelof van der Merwe. It's not been a great game so far for Max Waller in his first game for Somerset as skipper. His 2 overs have gone for 25 runs and he's dropped a catch. Things can only get better.
Searching for that 1 wicket, of course, as well, but to no avail so far. And this is an interesting time when I'm going to push my awful stat I brought in at the start, that every time a boundary is hit in this competition of 4, the chances of winning increase by 1.8%, and every time a 6 is hit, the odds of winning increase by 2.8. So as we say, Somerset drying up these boundaries a bit, and every boundary they prevent, the chance of Hampshire winning is dropping and dropping. I just had to drop that in there.
Very good stat.
Thank you.
Very
As
I'll remember it.
Goldsworthy now coming on at the pavilion end. He coming into bowling to McManus, and a full ball again hit down to long on. Hampshire batters happy to just keep hitting to that long on fielder and rotating the strike here.
Hampshire haven't got much to play for in this game, have they? I mean, I suppose mathematically it's still possible for them to qualify, but must be a pretty remote chance.
Goldsworthy past the umpire, bowling again and clipped into this leg side. No fielder in the ring there on the leg side apart from a 45, so an easy single for the Hampshire batters, which Somerset at this point in the game, they're happy to give them that one and protect these boundaries. And Goldsworthy, third ball of the over. Into McManus, and a big swing past the wicket keeper as the ball runs down towards fine leg, but they come back for a 2 and McManus quickly in, so quick between those wickets. A frustrated Goldsworthy there as the
couldn't have missed the leg stump by very much. That
good bowling here, bowled at 1.3 overs for 12 runs so far, 1 wicket. Up to the stumps he bowls, and a big swing again from McManus as the ball goes down to a 3rd man inside the ring, just for the 1 run.
Yeah, he'd be cursing his luck at the moment, Lewis Goldsworthy. Nearly got his man. Successive deliveries.
And bowling at a good quick pace here, really rushing at the Hampshire batters. Full of ball and swept by Weatherly to the deep square leg fielder. Just a single as the batsmen run through gently for a single. 1 ball remaining in the over. Hampshire nearing that 100 mark. As Goldsworthy, final ball of the over, and the back of a length ball, but hit in front of square on the leg side to that deep mid-wicket fielder again for another single. The end of the over, Hampshire 97 for 4. And going back to what you mentioned quickly, not much to play for Hampshire here, but having all their away games crammed into the start of the season, it's difficult. So I think, if anything, they can relish being in front of this pretty significant home crowd here at the Ageas Bowl, and hopefully we saw the crowd reactions when they beat Gloucestershire in that game. It's been rare to have a win this season, so if they can bring one back for the home crowd, it'll be a nice sight for the spectators here at the Ageas Bowl.
But presumably the sight's set very firmly on the county championship and qualifying for Division 1. I mean, that's really got to be the Hampshire priority.
Absolutely.
Somerset likewise, although Somerset still have high hopes of qualifying for the quarterfinals. In fact, they'll be very disappointed if they don't qualify for the quarterfinals from where they are at the moment. So 96 for 4 after 13, and Big Marchant is coming back into the attack. He's bowling to McManus. He's in and bowls. McManus makes room for himself and makes no contact with the ball as DeLange actually took pace off there, and it just came through to Devon Conway, the wicketkeeper, at ankle height.
Just got to be careful here he doesn't play that same shot we saw Toby Albert play in that power play, and just almost easily tap that slower ball to the mid-off fielder with that same shot.
DeLange to McManus. It's a bouncer, and it's a no ball on height, I think. Who are the umpires? Who are the umpires? Kev, do we know who the umpires are? They are. No.
It must have been
overstepping in that case.
So free hit here for McManus on strike.
And
the field, of course,
moves up to 98.
Change.
Here comes DeLange again to McManus. Takes him on the pad. It was an attempted leg stump Yorker, which became an outside leg stump full toss, but kept them down to just a leg by from the free hits of 99 for 4. The umpires are Mills and Rhodes, and I'm blowed if I know which is which from this distance. It's De Lange in and bowls to Weatherly, who turns that away out to deep mid-wicket, where Will Smead does the fielding, and that's the 100. A ripple of applause, or in fact a bit more than a ripple of applause goes around the ground once the crowd realise that the landmark has been achieved. Is De Lange to McManus. This is up in the air. This is, oh, they've left it to each other. Brooks and Lammonby.
We almost saw the two fielders not reacting in the deep, so
whether they lost it, but it was up in the air for quite a long time, and one or the other you'd have thought ought to have got at least close to it. But it's another run, 102 for 4. De Lange bowls to McManus, who helps it down to long leg. There's a good piece of fielding down there by Roelof van der Merwe, who underarms it in. And another run goes on the board, 104 for 4.
That previous ball again with that catch no one went for. You could see everyone else in the field just staring at these fielders, begging them to move, but to no avail for Somerset.
De Lange to McManus, and that's in the air again, and gets away with it again, as it was just clothed only a few yards into the offside, and they go through for a single. 105 for 4 at the end of the 14th over, so 6 overs remain for Hampshire to drag themselves up to, well, 150, 160, something like that.
And another boundaryless over there for Hampshire, who in these final few overs they've really got to push here. They've got wickets in hand, and as Kev said, minimum 150 here. Somerset's got a strong batting lineup, even with their few players gone to join that provisional England squad.
Well, it's strong at the top, Hildreth and Conway. It's a bit inexperienced in the middle.
So perhaps a more of an even matchup today between these two teams.
Although Will Smead's been batting well. So the top three are where Somerset's batting strength really lies.
Goldsworthy continuing for his third over from the pavilion end, and down the wicket comes McManus, but clubs it to long on for just a single. He moves on to 22 off 18 balls. So a valuable knock here, whilst Weatherly 27 off 25. He's been deprived of the strike a bit here recently, Weatherly, but still the key batter for Hampshire. It's Goldsworthy in again, and down the wicket comes Weatherly. A beautiful extra cover drive, but blocked by the deep cover fielder. They get through for 2 runs, and Weatherly will be going, how can I hit a boundary here? I just timed that beautifully through the covers, but Somerset, some good field placement here. Goldsworthy by the umpire. Bowls. And swept in the air though. Fielder out in the deep, and it goes over his head. 6 runs to Weatherly. He'll be quite relieved that there's finally a boundary here.
That's the Weatherly slog sweep that Kevin was talking about again. Very, very good shot, nicely timed. Just in front of straight mid-wicket. Not a slog, a calculated power hit.
Very Joe Root-esque from Weatherly, as again down the wicket in a cover drive, but not timed and hit out to that deep cover fielder just for a single. And again hitting that previous 6 just to the shorter boundary, which spinners will have to be wary of here. Good reply there from Goldsworthy with 2 balls remaining in this over. Quite an expensive one for the young spinner as he comes in again, and an ugly sweep there from McManus, mistimed to the 45 fielder in the ring for 1 run. Definitely some ugly runs here for McManus, but he would suggest with there's perhaps lack of form in this competition, ugly runs is what you've got to get. And a valuable contribution as final ball from Goldsworthy is hit powerfully down the ground to the long off fielder. A long barrier, and they throw the ball back in. An easy one there to finish the over. Hampshire 117 for 4 off 15 overs.
Yep, 5 overs to go. Thanks, Melissa. Melissa will be back with us for the middle section of the Somerset innings, I suspect. So 5 overs remaining, 117 for 4, so 50 off the last 5 would take Hampshire up to 167, which I I guess, Kevin, they think was a defensible target.
Well, it was better than when they were 22 for 3 in the 5th. These two batted particularly well. De Grandhomme chipped in with his 28 as well, but it's needed something from Weatherly. Like the look of Joe Weatherly, the more this tournament goes on. They're proper shots, aren't they? They're not just a slog sweep for 6, but the drives out in the offside. They're proper, crisp T20 drives along the ground. They're hit with power, but he's in good positions to hit it. They're just proper shots. He is a proper, for me now, he's a proper T20 player.
Roelof van der Merwe coming back into the attack from this hotel end. 3 overs for 17. He's bowling to Joe Weatherly. He's there and bowls, and Weatherly hits this up in the air. A shout of catch, but it's going to bisect the 2 fielders. It was absolutely dead straight. It landed about 3 yards inside the straight boundary. So 4 runs, and that brings up the 50 partnership between Weatherly and McManus from 36 balls.
Yeah, it's good going.
Here's van der Merwe again, and Weatherly just van der Merwe was coming down the pitch. Van der Merwe saw him coming and dropped it in short, and Weatherly concentrating on not letting the ball go past him to give Devon Conway a stumping. It's a dot ball. Van der Merwe again. This is up in the air, and again it's safe. Just clearing Max Waller, and the throw comes in.
Leading
catch is not going to hand for Somerset, and when they have gone to hand, they've gone down. 2 drop catches, Lammonby and Waller, the guilty parties. 2 runs taken. Van der Merwe is in a bowls, and this is whipped away into the onside just for a single this time as Lammonby does the fielding. 124 for 4.
3 for 33 after 6 overs of the power play. This is a much better effort.
It is. Somerset's out cricket has not been as sharp as it usually is. Van der Merwe's in and bowls. This is again up in the air. There's a fielder underneath it, and again it lands between the 3 of them. That's Marchant de Lange comes charging in from deep cover. Max Waller running back from mid-off.
Unbelievable. You thought one of the 3 of them would get it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's pinpointed it exactly right, but it's not where he meant to hit it.
With van der Merwe in again and bowls, and this is lofted down the ground, and 4 runs. A dive in vain down there by Will Smead. So he's riding his luck at the moment, is Joe Weatherly, and keeping Hampshire very much in this game. It's 134 for 4 after 16.
Yeah, good strike from McManus, that one. A little bit lucky the ball before, but this is a much better effort here. Good acceleration here from Hampshire. Haven't always seen that in this year's competition. There's a few more in tonight than we saw last Friday in the win against Gloucestershire. Maybe the word got around in the last few days that Hampshire do actually win the odd T20. So maybe a few more have turned up tonight. No Somerset supporters or fans allowed in tonight, or members, but I noticed just along to our right.
I've seen at least one Somerset supporter wearing his shirt.
Well, I see a Taunton, well, sort of the cross, the English cross flag, and Taunton written across it. So some Somerset fans have got a room there away to our right. There's probably a few more as well in the hotel. Most of the rooms booked out for these T20s, almost like your own personal box. A lot of Surrey fans had the rooms booked out.
Well, they would.
In the recent championship.
They
would do that, yeah. Here's de Lange from the pavilion end. There's a slug sweep from Weatherly. That's gone big. That's a Colin de Grandhomme type slug sweep. And that's gone right into the back of the temporary stand by the scorebox to our left. And that's a 50 for Joe Weatherly. That's come off 34 deliveries with 3 6s and 1 4. And my word, he's played superbly this evening.
He certainly has.
I think that's the first time he's passed 50 in this year's competition. In fact, I think I know it is actually, because his top score before tonight was 41 against Middlesex at Radlett. He's been consistent But this tonight, I wouldn't say it's the biggie, but it's bigger. 34 deliveries from 50 then as Delanga goes round the wickets, and that's hit up in the air now. Is Delanga going to get that? No, it's at mid-on, and that's going to be a simple catch. Oh, would you believe he nearly dropped it? Oh, it was a third attempt. That was as simple as you like. Delanga has sunk to his knees thinking that ball was going to the ground, and I'm pretty sure everybody on the ground thought so as well. How on earth did he make a muck up of that? But he's got the catch in the end, that's what counts. Whether he goes for 50, and it's 136 for 5.
Well, a good innings by Joe Weatherly, but trying for that slog sweep and probably beaten for pace as much as anything, taking the top edge, and a catch to mid-on. I think it was Tom Lammonby, wasn't it? Who
he did his best to try and drop it, didn't he?
He did.
Can't quite see that. It's such a long way away.
I think it is Lammonby. Well, oh no, it's Brooks. It's Jack Brooks.
Jack Brooks, yeah. Well, I mean, he didn't have to move. It's just one of those catching practices in the morning where the old coach sort of throws the ball up and sort of pings it to you, just as a sort of get your eyes open type thing about 9 o'clock in the morning. And he made an absolute hash of it, but recovered well at the end. James Fuller is the new man at the non-striker's end because the batsman crossed, so McManus is going to face 29 of 21 for Lewis McManus. He's doing a good job here. Round the wicket stays Delanga, and that's pushed out to deep mid-wicket. That'll bring Fuller back on strike. Now Fuller has a good strike rate here. He's into the well, he has about 140 strike rate here, 142, which is sort of up there, and he is quite good in these later stages. Doesn't always come off, of course, but he will pick up a couple of maximums at least towards the later stages, so that might just push Hampshire up towards that 150, 160 mark we've been talking about. Delanga, of course, will make sure that he stops him as he comes in. He's going over the wicket here to Fuller. That's full. That's a good Yorker of that, and it's off the bottom of the bat. He slips, and Delanga's got under on the throw. It hits the stumps, and is Fuller home? I'm not sure. Umpire has not put his finger up. Oh my word! Whatever footwear Fuller has got on, go and get that changed, because he slipped over and he was completely flat out, and somehow he's got up and got back.
Yeah, I thought when Delanga hit the stumps he was gone, but umpire is in a much better position to make that call than we are.
Yeah, I must admit, he looked like he had no chance. I had to say, from the time he was flat out to the time he got back and got up and got back, he was double quick time. Here's Delanga then, bowls to Fuller. And that's short, and Fuller pulls that away behind square on the leg side. Just going for 4, 2 bounces. Well, Delanga went for the short one, knew exactly what he was trying to do, but Fuller was onto it quickly, and that gets Fuller off the mark. 141 for 5.
Yeah, poor ball. Too much leg side. All he had to do was get some bat on it.
I think the ball's too soft at the moment now, Anthony, isn't it? These white balls get soft quite quickly when they're banged against the bat hard, and maybe with a new ball that would have gone through. That one didn't. It sat up and asked Fuller to hit it. Here comes Delanga again. He's bowled him! Leg stump out of the ground. Perfect answer from the South African. Fuller done all ends up. Went full, he went short, which went for 4. He went full again, and Fuller played right across it and missed. He goes for 4. 141 for 6.
Well, that's what he can do, Martin Delanga. He's got a superb Yorker. And well, I criticised him the ball before. There was absolutely nothing wrong with that. Right on the money. Much too good for James Fuller, and a good wicket for Somerset, because he's dangerous customer is Fuller.
Yeah.
As we discovered in the Royal London One Day Cup final a couple of years ago.
Oh yes. Who won that? I can't remember.
Oh well. Yeah. But Fuller did his best to.
No, he's useful. He's useful coming in late. Won't always get you runs, but his strike rate, as I say, at 142 means that he doesn't hang around. So here's the man of the moment, Chris Wood, who, like Max Waller, is captain in his side.
Well, I hope he has a better match than Max Waller's had so far.
Well, fortunately for both of them, Anthony, the game's not over yet, so they've both got time to make amends. Who knows? Maybe Max Waller might hit the winning runs. He might have to wait another game to get the top wicket
taker. He'll be in dire straits if he does, because he'll be coming in at number 11.
Well, win by 1 wicket, win by 6 wickets, it don't make much difference, does it?
Here's Ben Green to McManus. Takes pace off, and that's hit square the wicket to Lewis Goldsworthy, who fields at the second attempt. We're in the 18th over. 3 overs remain, 17 more deliveries, provided we don't get any wides or no balls. It's Green to McManus. McManus just runs that up to Waller coming in from the long on boundary, and it's just a single. 142 for 6. Well, I think if Hampshire can get it up to 160, and they ought to from here.
Yeah.
It'll take a bit of getting on a pitch that's certainly offering a little bit of help to the spinners. Not much in it for the seamers, I wouldn't have said, but
looking forward to seeing Mason Crane.
Yeah, he could be very effective. Here's Green to Wood, who will pick up a single. Out to Lammerby, sprinting in from deep square leg. 142 for 6, 143 for 6.
It's quite awkward, Ben Green, isn't he? A nice sort of mixture of sort of normal pace bowling and then the off cutters, which are cleverly disguised, like him.
Here he comes again. This is almost caught and bowled. As McManus didn't time that at all. He's scored 31 as McManus, but hasn't looked nearly as convincing as Joe Weatherly did. There's Green up past the umpire and bowls. That's and nearly a catch to a diving Devon Conway, who slaps his thigh in frustration as he almost got across to that. It was in the air. It would have been a straightforward catch to first slip, or maybe between first and second slip. So 4 runs.
Again, it's clever bowling. That's a quicker ball, isn't it? It surprised McManus. He was on it late. He got an edge, and it went quickly to Conway's right hand, very quickly.
Green to McManus, 147 for 6. This is played square of the wicket and misfielded there by Goldsworthy, and they'll come back for a second run. Again, poor cricket from Somerset, who have not been at their best in the field this evening. 149 for 6 with 2 overs to go.
Yeah, I mean, in their defence, this outfield is very sluggish, isn't it, really? I mean, there's been a lot of rain here. I mean, how many times have we seen the ball sort of hit in the air, and the ball's literally plugged? We've seen 1 or 2 of the fielders just sort of watch their footing a little bit. They haven't been totally sure when they've been running towards the ball. And then we saw, of course, earlier, James Fuller running down the wicket and then slipping completely. Fortunately for him, got back, but he was out pretty soon after. So, you know, this field looks green and it looks damp from here. So I'm pretty sure that for some of these players out there in the middle, you know, they're not totally sure of their footing. Here's De Lange. And he bowls to Chris Wood, length ball. Wood drives up towards extra cover. That's a good piece of fielding, because that bobbled actually.
It's James Hildreth there, the old man.
No, the old man. See, a bit of experience there, Anthony. There's no substitute for that. 36 years of age. Hampshire 150 up, and it's come at the start of the 19th. Now, if they play this right, get a little bit of luck, of course, but late 160s, they'll be up towards that total that they got against Gloucestershire last week, and won that. Here comes De Lange from that pavilion end, bowls, and that's driven hard by McManus, but it's well fielded by De Lange on his follow through. Superb piece of fielding, and he managed to cling onto it without it actually sort of palming away. Did really well there.
Yeah, I was looking for that somewhere out towards the long off boundary.
Yeah, one of those that sort of ricochets away, and you still get full value for your shot. 150 for 6 then. McManus on 37. Just waiting for De Lange. De Lange's just having a word with Waller at mid-on about something. McManus just pulled away, but he's back, ready to face. De Lange comes in then, right arm fast. Bowls, it's full. That's whipped away from straight, down towards fine leg. That's gone very quickly. That's a good piece of fielding by Lammerby. Yeah, just slid into that one. Kind of use the conditions, don't you? That's the other thing as well. It might be sluggish, it might be wet, but sometimes as a fielder, you can use those slippery conditions to actually help get your body behind the ball. Lammerby did that well. 151 for 6.
Do you know the fielder down here at long on, George Bartlett, I have not mentioned in all of the the time that we've had.
He's probably happy he's had a quiet game out there, Anthony. As DeLange's round the wicket. Wood drives powerfully up to mid-off, but that's fielded once more.
Jack Brooks.
Yeah, does well there, Brooks. Obviously buoyed by that catch, which he took on the 3rd attempt to get rid of Weatherly. He would have looked a little bit silly had that gone down, but he's a good bloke, Jack Brooks. I remember sitting next to him without realising. Actually, that final you talked about, the 50 over final, I went with some friends to a restaurant in St John's Wood as DeLange bowls, and that's whipped away on the leg side. But there are 3 men out there, and that's palmed on for the boundary. Hit with enough power there from McManus to get it past the fielder just. But yeah, we were sitting in a restaurant, he was in the table next to me, and I was sitting there chatting to friends, and after about, I don't know, it must have been half an hour, I heard this voice say, "Oh, hi Kev," and I looked round and oh, it's Jack Brooks. And he was being really polite. He was there with his girlfriend, I think, or wife or whoever. And yeah, they were just chatting, and then I guess he waited for an opportune moment and then just said hello, and he was great. We had a chat for quite a while, actually.
Lovely bloke.
Yeah, he's top man. He's done a bit of commentary, actually. Oh, that's pulled away, an eye over the head, and that's gone for 4 over the head of Conway. Quicker ball there from DeLange. He went for the hook, did McManus. He got a top edge, he went fast. He moves on to 46, and Hampshire 160 for 6 with 1 over remaining.
Well, fortune favouring the brave at the moment, with the Hampshire batsmen going for their shots, and even the ones that aren't middled are flying away for 4. Somerset haven't helped themselves. They've not been at their best in the field here this evening. Looks like Jack Brooks is going to bowl the 20th over. Being given the ball by his skipper, Max Waller. Somerset, Max Waller is the 4th Somerset skipper of the season so far. Tom Abel started and in red ball cricket, and has also captained in T20 when Lewis Gregory was quarantined at the start of the season, and Lewis Gregory took over. This is short and pull shot, and it's shy at the stumps, but McManus was home.
That's great running. He's not that far back, Conway, and he still managed to underarm the stumps down, and yet McManus is still home.
Yeah, good backing up.
I think actually it was such a good slower ball, Anthony, that it took a while to get to Conway.
Well, that is a factor, isn't it? But McManus, I guess, was certainly a third of the way down the pitch as that ball was on its way to Chris Wood. McManus has the strike as well for the second ball of the final over. Brooks is in and bowls, and this is hit away in the air just over George Bartlett's head, and they come back for 2 runs. And
I think you're right, actually, Anthony. I think this has been a night where Hampshire have got away with a lot, but in their defence, this has been a competition for them this year where they've been penalised every time they've made a slight mistake.
Here's Brooks to McManus. This is off a thick inside edge. Ben Green is after it, pulls it in, and they decide not to come back for the 3rd run, but that is Lewis McManus's 50. From 33 deliveries with 4 fours and a 6, and just what the doctor ordered for Hampshire. He's provided the acceleration that was needed alongside Joe Weatherly. After Joe Weatherly was out, he has taken over and has become the main man. Brooks bowls an attempted Yorker. That is going for 6. A good, clean hit from Lewis McManus.
Super shot. Good slower ball from Jack Brooks, but it ended up being in the slot. And McManus picked it and hit through the line, and he middled it. Big shot, good shot.
An expensive last over, this 171 for 6. Is this the last ball?
It's 2 more.
2 more. Brooks to McManus. He's in bowls. McManus drives this down the ground, doesn't time it. Waller's onto it. It's going to send in the return to the wicket-keeper's end. And they're back for 2. 173 for 6. I don't know why he threw to the wicket-keeper's end.
It's always a bad call, unless it's obvious when you're throwing from deepish mid on to the far end, the ball takes absolutely ages to get there. And McManus is the quicker of the two. So I mean, I don't know if that might have been just a defensive throw from Wally. You might have almost conceded they were going to get two.
173, last ball. Brooks to McManus, makes room for himself, and not sure if that was a catch or not. I think it might have been, and shy at the stumps and misses, and they've come back for 2 runs. So sloppy cricket at the end there for Somerset, and Hampshire finished their 20 overs on 175 for 6. Lewis McManus not out 60, Chris Wood not out 4, and 175 for 6 is probably at least 20 more than Somerset will feel they should have got after, what were they in the power play? 33 for 3 at the end of the power play. 36 for 3.
Oh, listen, you take that all day long, wouldn't you, Anthony? I mean, there's no doubt in the early stages Somerset were with the team in front, but slowly but surely, as the 20 overs were worked through, Hampshire got themselves back in the game. They picked off the bowling at times. Yes, they had a little bit of luck. There was a lot of balls in the air, which seemed to sort of miss fielders. When it went to the fielders, perhaps Somerset could have done a little bit better. A couple of drop catches. The Grandon was dropped, and Weatherly was dropped as well, but Hampshire made the most of it, and I've not seen a Hampshire batting lineup have that sort of luck for quite a while, and you do need it in this. You take a lot of risks in T20 cricket, but Hampshire, I think, you know, whilst they're not the best side in this, I don't think anybody would disagree, but I'm not always sure they've had the rub of the green. Now, you could say that, you know, sides that don't play particularly good cricket don't get the rub of the green, but tonight they have, but coupled with some good batting.
Yeah, and some not very good bowling from Somerset. Just quickly through. Dillanga 2 for 33, going at 8 1/4 runs and over. Jack Brooks 2 for 33, ditto 8 1/4. Roelof van der Merwe, the least expensive, none for 30, 7.5. Ben Green 1 for 24 in 3, going at 8. Max Waller, captain for the evening, 2 overs, no maidens, none for 25, and he dropped an absolutely crucial catch, straightforward. It was hit hard to him at short extra cover, but should have caught it, and that was Weatherly, who went on to make 50. And Lewis Goldsworthy, 3 overs, 1 for 27, he went at 9 runs and over as well. So Somerset, after that really good start, picking up those 3 wickets in the power play, didn't really finish the job as they would have wanted to, and the onus is now squarely on their batsmen, and particularly on their top 3, Devon Conway, James Hildreth and Will Smead. If Hampshire can get rid of those fairly early on, they'll be in business.
Yeah, thank God there's no Tom Banton, otherwise I think that game would be all over at about 10 overs. Lewis McManus, quick shout out to him, because 60 not out for Lewis McManus is a new career best for him in T20 cricket. Join us in a few minutes' time when we'll bring you live commentary of Somerset's reply. They'll need 176 for victory.
Hampshire Hawks.
Welcome back to the Ageas Bowl then. So 176 Somerset need. Hampshire totaling 175 for 6 off their 20 overs. Lewis McManus with a career best 60. He was not out at the end of 36 balls. And Joe Weatherly batting well once again with 50. So we're just about to get underway then. Somerset's in those top 4 places here. They sit 3rd going into, what, 2 more games after this. They'll be looking to finish in the top 4. Hampshire just looking to get off the bottom. They've got a good chance with this total. It's going to be Chris Wood bowling to the left-hander Devon Conway, and we're just about to get underway. James Hildreth is the non-striker. Wood, the captain, bowls to Conway, pushes that up to mid-on, and there's no run. Anthony Gibson alongside me.
Yeah, a lot depending on these 2 opening batsmen. Somerset's 2 most experienced batsmen, Devon Conway and James Hildreth. Devon Conway's made a terrific start for Somerset in this competition, 2 50s and an 80.
Can't stop scoring, can he? He's been very consistent, isn't he, for you guys? Wood comes in, left arm over, bowls to Conway, played and missing. Has he edged it through to the keeper? He has! Lewis McManus, who's having a terrific night, takes the catch. And Chris Wood, captain for the first time, picks up his first wicket in just the 2nd ball. And Conway, who's had a good competition, goes. And Somerset 0 for 1.
Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. That really is a big blow. He's been masterful, Devon Conway, in the way he has timed his innings and supporting Tom Banton down at Canterbury and then taking the onus on himself against Middlesex. But, well, he's gone, so the local boys have got to show what they can do.
They certainly have. No Tom Banton in the side tonight. Tom Abel's got a hamstring injury, so big batting not at Somerset's disposal this evening. And but I tell you what, Will Smeed walking to the crease. Now, we were talking about Hampshire's teenagers. This guy's only 19, and he impressed me down at Taunton, Anthony.
He's got power to burn, has Will Smeed. He's been snapped up by Birmingham Phoenix for the competition that we don't mention.
What, the 100?
Well, you said that.
Are you not be watching it this year?
Well, I can't say because it's such a sore point down in Somerset.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because you haven't got your own team based at your own ground.
Exactly.
Oh well.
And because they think it's a gimmicky format.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out. Who knows? I don't think anybody knows really. Here's Chris Wood then bowling to Smeed. Smeed gets a length ball, pushes that out to point. That's fielded by Darcy Short. 0 for 1 in the first over. 176 is the total. Somerset have already dropped 1 place because Gloucestershire won their game earlier today. So Somerset start this game in 3rd. They were earlier today in 2nd. Hampshire looking to get off the bottom of the table if they can as Wood comes in and bowls. Smeed drives out into the covers, fielded by Mason Crane. Good accurate start here from Chris Wood.
Ian Shepherd, who produces the Always Look on the Bright Side of Life podcast, made a good point when we were recording it last night that Smeed is a bit like Chris Gale in that he plays a lot of dot balls and hits a lot of boundaries to compensate.
Yeah. Well, he's inside edge onto the pads. It goes that square on the leg side. Throw in there from Prest. Just misses the stumps, but I think Hildreth was home anyway. Yeah, Smeed, I say, impressed us down in Taunton. 63 not out of just 44 deliveries for the 19-year-old. Looks a really good player that night.
But he tends to go dot, 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 4 and then dot, dot, 6. He's not great at rotating the strike just yet. Now, what sort of James Hildreth are we going to see this evening?
Yeah, you're never quite sure, are you, at times? There's Hildreth faces Wood. Hildreth just guides that down to backward point, was looking for the gap to Darcy Short's left hand, couldn't find it, end of the over, and Chris Wood has started brilliantly here. 1 for 1 then, Somerset, 1 over gone. And well, the two batsmen out there in the middle, Smeed playing his 14th T20 and Hildreth playing his 202nd. A bit of difference there in terms of experience.
Somerset need Hildreth's experience here. He needs to shepherd this young middle order. Goldsworthy, Bartlett, Lammonby, Green. They're all in their early 20s. So here's Colin de Grandon coming into bowl down the leg side to Will Smeed, and that is a wide.
Melissa got excited when he came onto bowl next to me. She loves his mullet. She likes the mullet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently they're back in fashion, apparently.
Are they really? I can't imagine why. It's a dreadful thing, isn't it? Still, each to their own. Here's de Grandon in and bowls, and Smeed hits this one up in the air down towards us for just 6, I think.
But it is by a couple of inches. Yeah, it was. You're signalling it, Angie. You're trying to tell the umpire.
Just helping the umpire.
Look at me. Look, my hands are up. Go by what I'm doing.
And we did have a very good view of it.
We did, yeah.
I must admit.
I have to say, they wouldn't have known at ground level that bounced just the other side of the road. You wouldn't think so, would you?
No. But the fielder, to be fair, did signal that it had gone for 6. So,
yeah,
full marks.
That would have been Brad Wheel, yeah.
Yeah, Brad Wheel down below us. Here's de Grandon in and bowls, and this is down towards long leg, deep backward square leg. The fielder down there sprawls and fails to make the stop. He almost had it, but in the end slid over the rope with the ball. So 6 and a 4 to Smeed.
Yeah.
He moves on to 12. Who is that down at deep?
That's Mason Crane.
Mason Crane.
Nice couple of shots from Smeed. Yeah, Mason Crane dived, did well, but the rope, the angle of the rope, didn't it, meant the outfield just ran out.
Here's de Grandon in and bowls to Smeed, who pushes this firmly into the offside, and one fielder does the other one, and they just take the single in the end.
Whether he pushed it past Fuller.
Yeah.
Did him completely on the angle.
But, there would have been a single there in any case, I think. So it's
good over this one. 13 for 1.
Here's de Grandon in and bowls to Hildreth, who's angling that into the offside, looking for a single, which is not there. 12 from the over so far.
I love the description of Colin de Grandon on the Somerset website going into this game. They said he's a canny all-rounder, control and accuracy with the ball. And I'm thinking, hang on, did you not just see down at Taunton that bloke hit 60 off 30 deliveries?
Yes, that's right. De Grandon is in bowls, and Hildreth again is looking for a single on the offside, but again it's not there. So another dot ball. Somerset 13 for 1 in the second over.
Yep.
Some evening sunshine coming across the ground now. It's casting long shadows. We get a very good view of the surrounding countryside here, looking south as de Grandon bowls, and Hildreth will get a run this time if it was off the bat, and it was fielded at short fine leg. So 13 runs off the over, 14 for 1 at the end of the second over.
Yeah, better for Somerset, that one. Certainly rocked by Devon Conway's dismissal, second ball of the match. A lot of experience, as I mentioned, out there with Hildreth, and Will Smeed is obviously in good touch in this competition. This could be a good combination for the away side. Hampshire have got to work hard here. 176 is definitely a challenging total. Hampshire managed to defend that total, a very similar total against Gloucestershire last week. Here's Chris Wood bowling to the right-hander James Hildreth. Comes in and bowls. Hildreth slugs that over mid-wicket, and that's going for 4. Over the head of Tom Prest. It was a length ball, just a heave away on the leg side. I say good old-fashioned T20. I mean, it's only been around since 2003. Does that count as old-fashioned?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
James Hildreth played in the Somerset side that actually won the T20 Cup, as it was then, in 2005.
Did he?
So he's been there almost from the start.
Yeah, it's 14. It's more than 14 for 1. The scoreboard hasn't ticked over as they cuts away on the offside. There is a gap between backward point and extra cover. Mason Crane comes in off the cover boundary, and I make that 18. I make that 19. The scoreboard's just caught up now. 19 for 1. Hildreth has 6. Smeed back on strike has 12. A few shadows across the playing area, but where the sun's low, it's quite bright in amongst those shadows. There's Wood, who's in completely in the shadow. Smeed gives himself some room off the bottom of the bat, works that up towards mid-off, and the Grandole comes in, but Smeed will take a single anyway. Moves on to 13, 20 for 1. I'm just having a look at those Somerset supporters to our right. In fact, I'm struggling actually. The sun's so low, but they're right on their balcony, watching every ball. There's about 3 of them there, away to our right, with the Taunton flag. There's Wood runs towards us and bowls. Down the wicket comes Hildreth. That's a slog, misses. Goes past the outside edge and goes through to McManus.
Yeah, he's in frenetic mode, I think, is James Hildreth.
Well, he knows the mid-on and mid-off are up, the mid-wicket's up with the... I mean, he's going for the shots over the top, isn't he? Hampshire have their fielders out at deep point and deep square leg. Deep square leg can hardly see, actually, with the sun. That's a short delivery, and Hildreth gave himself too much room. He's in no position to play that. It looks wide, but Hildreth's outside leg stump.
If he'd held his ground, he could have uppercut it over third man, who's up inside the fielding circle.
I think Wood knows that Hildreth's so intent to sort of come down the wicket a pace or two, give himself some room and sort of heave it sort of over extra cover or over mid-wicket or straight, but Wood's bowling too short for that. Comes in again and bowls. It's a length ball, and that's nudged to 45. They'll take a single to Brad Wheel, who's quite deep, and that's good bowling there from Chris Wood. Obviously captaincy is sitting well with him at the moment, with Somerset 21 for 1 after 3.
Yep, an uncertain start for Somerset, losing Devon Conway to the second ball of the innings. But Brad Wheel coming back into the attack, who I gather, Kevin, bowled pretty quickly and pretty well against Surrey in the championship match.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. He's an improving player as well. He stayed injury-free this year, which has been the key for him. He's
bowling to James Hildreth. He's in now and bowls. Hildreth is taken on the pad, and Smeed is backing up a long way. There's a shy at the stumps, but Smeed, retreating in a cloud of dust, makes good his ground. Hildreth on 7, Smeed on 13. Hildreth is 172 runs in this, best of 72 not out. That was a knock that won the match up at the Oval. This is turned into the onside. Hildreth moving outside the leg stump to make room for himself, and spotted by Brad Wheel, who followed him, cramped him for room. So it's just a single. 22 for 1. The fielders in the deep are at third man for Will Smeed, and deep backward square leg. I think it was me. I'd have someone at long on. Here's Wheel then to Smeed, who hits that, lofts it over the top of backward point. Tom Preston will pick up a couple of runs. Not quite as he intended, but they all count.
Yeah,
24 for 1.
Just sort of bounced there. It's Darcy Short actually there. It's just hit him on the fingertips actually, because it sort of reared up a bit, didn't it? It was a nice piece of timing. Yeah. Darcy Short just found that ball going through his fingertips. He's struggling a bit actually. Here's
Brad Wheel again. And this is lofted down. It's in, fielder is underneath it. It's Mason Crane, and he takes the catch. And that is the end of Will Smeed. He was going for that big hit over the mid-wicket boundary. Didn't quite get hold of it. And that's the second Somerset wicket going down with the score on 24. It's Will Smeed, caught Crane, bowled Wheel for 15, 24 for 2.
Yeah, big boundaries away to our right. The short boundaries away to our east, to the east, our left-hand side. But they're just slightly bigger to our right, and it needs a good hit. You need to middle that, and he hasn't quite. And Mason Crane did well there, actually, because if I'm honest with Mason Crane, he was probably a little bit too far away from the ball. He actually had to move forward at the last minute to make sure he got both his hands underneath the ball. He made it look easy in the end, but he was slightly out of position, ever so slightly.
Yes, it seemed almost to slip slightly, but he got himself into position in the end, and as you say, made the catch look pretty straightforward. Well, not the sort of start that Somerset could have afforded.
No, it's a tough total, there's no doubt about it, but they shouldn't panic too much because Hampshire didn't have a very good power play, so they can afford to sort of be average here. But what Hampshire did do well is they sort of kept pushing after that, didn't they, and had some big overs.
Brad Wheel then to James Hildreth. Batsman crossed. Takes him on the pad. They go through for a quick single. Lewis Goldsworthy makes his ground. Goldsworthy coming in at number 4. And he's not a power hitter, Lewis Goldsworthy, but he can work the ball around. He plays authentic, proper cricket shots. But
he's another man quite inexperienced in T20s, isn't he? It's only his 11th.
I know. Well, it's a pretty callow middle order, this. Goldsworthy, Bartlett, Lammonby and Green. It's Wheel into Hildreth. To Goldsworthy, rather, who turns that into the onside. And another good over for Hampshire, the 3rd over of the innings. Or even the 4th over of the innings, I beg your pardon. And just the 25 runs on the board, and 2 of Somerset's best batsmen, Devon Conway and Will Smead, already back in the pavilion.
Yeah, just 4 runs off that Brad Wheel over. Now Scott Curry into the attack, and he's another inexperienced man here, only his 8th, a 20-year-old, but he's made some telling contributions with the ball. Not always in a winning cause, of course, but the right-arm seamer has certainly made his mark in the games that he's played. 4 for 31 in that game down at Taunton, 3 for 21 in the defeat against Surrey here. Only a wicket last week against Gloucestershire, which was the win. That's turned away on the leg side by Hildreth. Just a length ball, quite deliberate by Hildreth, and in off the boundary comes James Fuller. 26 for 2 Somerset at the start of the 5th. They need another 150 exactly to win this game, and they need to score those runs from here on in at just under 10 and over.
It's a tall order. Hildreth needs to set himself to anchor this innings now.
Yeah, probably be no problem if Banton was out there, but he's not. Here comes Curry, runs towards us from the pavilion end. That's nicely turned down towards 3rd man by Goldsworthy, quite deliberate, fielded by Wheel. Just below us to our right, single to the total. Takes Somerset on to 26 for 2. Sun beginning to disappear now, away to our right. Shadows over most of the ground. I think just 1 or 2 of the fielders can still see some sun. It's shining on McManus. It was certainly shining on McManus when he was batting. Now that's a good shot over mid-off, and that could be going for 4. 1 bounce towards the pavilion. Nice shot from that's Hildreth, is it?
Yep.
Yeah. Scoreboard has Goldsworthy facing, which is
it was
wrong.
Hildreth.
Yeah, nice shot. He's been looking to do that, hasn't he? He was looking to do that against Chris Wood earlier. Didn't quite manage that shot, but he's managed to do it off Scott Curry with mid-on and mid-off up. Still in the power play, of course, so Hampshire haven't got that luxury of just putting them back. As Curry bowls, it's pulled away in the air. It's going to be out caught by Fuller. Takes it just above the ground. Now, he had the sun in his eyes, so he's done really well there, Fuller, and he took it just inches off the ground. Hildreth didn't really get hold of that. He goes for 13. Somerset lose their 3rd wicket, 31 on the board.
Not good, not good. Somerset have lost 3 wickets in the power play now, just as Hampshire did. But Hampshire, I fancy, had the greater depth of batting. James Hildreth so important, his experience so important to this Somerset side.
Yeah, good catch from Fuller. It's never easy when the sun's low over the horizon as it is to our right. It's just above some clouds, so it's not total. It's not shining totally. The sort of cloud. It's quite amazing. A photographer would have a field day with that sun. The way that some of the cloud is hiding it and some isn't. But Fuller definitely would have seen that as a background and a good catch for him. And Scott Curry does it once more. He'll do 13 or 15 deliveries with 2 fours. The new batsman is George Bartlett for Somerset, but it's Goldsworthy who's trying to work that down to third man. Always got an edge as it went through to Lewis McManus. Tough time here at the moment for Somerset. Haven't really got any momentum.
No, they haven't. George Bartlett hasn't got much form behind him. This is only his 3rd game, and he has 9 runs to his name in his 2 previous innings.
A chance to make a name for himself then.
Yeah, he's not really a T20 batsman.
Faces Curry. It pulls it up in the air. Now somebody's going to be underneath that. Who is it? Curry goes for it. McManus goes for it and catches it. Well, it probably was just about Lewis McManus's catch, because it was just about behind the stumps, but Curry was going for it. Fortunately, there was some good calling out there. Goldsworthy goes for 1, and Somerset are 4 down now. 31 on the board. We're in the 5th.
Well, Somerset's top order batting disintegrating at the moment. They are very heavily reliant on Devon Conway at the moment in the absence of Tom Banton. And there's less experience down the order now as well without Lewis Gregory and Craig Overton. They do, though, have Roloff van der Merwe, and as long as Roloff van der Merwe is there, anything is possible, as Surrey discovered to their cost in a 50-over match when Somerset were 23 for 6, chasing 279, and Roloff van der Merwe got 165 not out.
I remember watching it, and it was one of the most remarkable turnarounds I think I've ever seen, and I've seen a few, and I've played in a few. He is a tremendous cricketer. But it's Tom Lammonby into the crease for Somerset, so we'll have to wait for van der Merwe.
Here's Wheel in and bowls and pushes this into the... George Bartlett pushes this into the offside. Doesn't get a run. Hampshire absolutely on their game at the moment. You can feel the energy from up here. They haven't had a great campaign in T20, but they've certainly played well this evening. Coming back from a very difficult position in their own power play, as Wheel is in and bowls, and Bartlett won't get a run as he plays that up the onside of the pitch. He's not a power hitter, a bit like neither of these are power hitters, Goldsworthy and Bartlett. Bartlett's got the modern range of shots, the ramps and the paddle sweeps and the reverse sweeps. He's waiting now. He's desperately anxious to do well here this evening. Wheel bowls to him and brings that one back in towards Bartlett, who can do nothing with it. Comes off a mixture of bat and pad. It goes down and gives the pitch a prod, suggesting that maybe that moved a little bit off the seam. 31 for 4, and we're in the last of the power play overs. What were Hampshire, 36 was it?
At the end of the 6th?
Yeah.
33 for 3.
33 for 3, so Somerset marginally worse off. And this is a play and a miss from Bartlett to a ball that sails through to McManus. We've got the slip in for Wheel to Bartlett. Somerset's task getting ever more difficult.
Steady. Those glasses have come off a few times
terrible
today.
I need to get them fixed.
Somebody get some elastic for you.
Yeah, I think I need to get them fixed. Here's Wheel to Bartlett, and Bartlett will get a run. And there's only just a good piece of fielding there by Darcy Short at backward point, and Bartlett is off the mark. 32 for 4.
Yeah, I mean, their figures suggest that they're not going to take Hampshire apart here, really, are they? I mean, Lammonby this season is striking at 110 per 100 balls. Bartlett, I mean, not a lot better, really.
He's only
100, he's only 100, but he doesn't score many.
Runs in
so
4 innings.
It's a tall order for these two.
Wheel to Lammonby, looking for a single into the offside. It's not there. So just the 1 run from the 6th power play over, and Somerset in all sorts of trouble. 32 for 4 in their power play.
Well, I hope the crowd aren't expecting a close game here, because everything suggests at the moment that it should be a fairly easy Hampshire victory. But this is T20, you never know. Anthony Gibson's going to continue, and Melissa Story is going to come in alongside him.
A very happy Melissa Story, I suspect. And why not? It's, Hampshire have had a difficult time of it recently, with the disappointment of not finishing off the win against Surrey during the week. Here you are, Melissa.
As we have, oh gosh, couldn't even see that quick enough. Who do we have bowling here, Anthony?
It is Curry.
Curry bowling from the pavilion end. That was a dot ball. I was going to say, I've well and truly betrayed my West Country roots here by jumping up and down every time Hampshire got a wicket.
If you're a Wiltshire girl, you should be, you know, Wiltshire's nearer Somerset. Well, your part of Wiltshire's nearer Somerset.
Potentially, yeah, as Curry comes in, and this is clipped in the air straight towards the boulder, and it falls just before de Grandhomme. He almost backed out of catching that one. It almost, quite
It's almost as if he lost it again, wasn't it?
I must say, I've played under floodlights once, and actually at the Ageas Bowl, and it is hard with that white ball, as if you just get the angle slightly wrong.
Yeah. And you've got white seating here as well, and the crowd are fairly thinly scattered.
Curry into bowl again, past the umpire. He bowls to the left-handed batter, who clips it into the leg side for just a single.
Somerset, your second favourite county then?
See, I've always been torn, I think, between Somerset, Gloucestershire and Hampshire. Those have been my three main to support. Obviously, a lot of the other counties in the West Country are minor county league, so I do watch the odd competitive Wiltshire-Dorset game, which is always a thriller. As Curry in again to Bartlett, who clips it slightly aerial through the offside, and they get through for an easy 2 runs here.
Didn't time that at all, did he?
No, and this pitch is just looking, I think we saw the signs of it in the first innings, that perhaps when the spinners got their lines right and the seamers got it, banged it into that wicket and bowled those slower balls, and, you know, with confidence, the pitch is just giving enough to the bowlers to dominate here, and a start Hampshire couldn't have dreamed of. As Curry, 5th ball of the over, it's in the air, and he's timed this one straight into the crowd for 6 runs. A massive 6 there from Bartlett.
That's more like it.
There we go, got the grin back on your face pretty quickly.
That's the more like it. Well, having said that George Bartlett isn't a power hitter, he certainly got hold of that pretty well.
I think that ball was just in the slot as well. I could have backed half my girls at club level to hit that one into the crowd. Perhaps Curry's not his finest delivery, but especially for the field he has set.
In the slot, as they say, wasn't it?
In the slot, 1 ball to come. Can he pull this over back? Bartlett on strike. Curry past the umpire. Back of the length ball, and it's chipped up in the air just over the head of backwards point. And they're coming through for a 2. Quick run into the keeper, but no run out chances there. So an easy 2 runs in the end, but just looking a bit jumpy at the crease. We're having, I think, both teams.
I thought he played that. I think that was a deliberate shot. He just lifted it and made sure he cleared backward point.
That's what I say every time I hit the ball in the air too.
And he couldn't go full-blooded at it in case he got too much on it and was caught out in the deep by the cover sweeper. So it was a clever piece of batting that by George Bartlett.
And Somerset now 44 for 4 off these 7 overs. And actually, I was looking across this competition so far. Somerset's average score is 175. So
well,
actually, if they keep being consistent with that average, then we'll have a lovely draw on our hands. But a lot of work here for Lammonby and Bartlett.
Taunton is a much higher scoring ground than this one.
I must say, I've seen some very thrilling games.
And we had a
Taunton.
terrific game down at Canterbury as well, when Tom Banton got 100.
I was watching that one on the live stream, actually.
Here's Mason Crane bowling to Lammonby, who goes for a reverse sweep, gets a top edge over the top of the wicketkeeper. They'll come back for a second run, 46 for 4. He likes the reverse sweep, does Tom Lammonby.
A lot of confidence to play that to Crane's first ball.
Yeah, he just got enough on it. 2 runs, Crane bowls, and again he goes for the reverse sweep. There's an appeal for LBW, and nearly stumped as well, as Lammonby was umpire watching there.
Mason Crane, we had this discussion earlier in the week at the county championship, as some people were confused why he wasn't selected, but he's a wicket taken. We've already seen two close chances already for Lammonby.
Yeah, he's got away with those 2 reverse sweeps, neither of them middled. Here's Crane again, in and bowls. This time, that's up in the air and just short of the fielder coming in from short extra cover.
Both teams have had quite their luck in field placement today, you must say.
Leading edge there from Lammonby. Brings him a single, 47 for 4, but he's looking anything but secure at the moment. Is Tom Lammonby. Had a tremendous season last year, particularly in the Bob Willis. 3 centuries. He's been having a miserable time this year, though, in both the championship and in this T20. It's Bartlett on strike, who's back on his stumps down the leg side and signalled.
You almost feel here that Hampshire are on the hunt for wickets, with these 4 early ones going and pushing their spinners into the attack now as soon as the power play's over. They're just really, really looking for these quick, big wickets.
Here's Crane in again and bowls to Bartlett, who again was in the air for some time, out to de Grandhomme at extra cover. The required rate is going up all the time. Here's Crane in and bowls, and Bartlett's back on his stumps, is punching that away into the offside, but it's just a single, 48 for 4.
I must say I have a soft spot for Mason Crane, and number 32 on his back, and that's the same one I've got on mine. So Ollie Pope's the same, another player, so always become a favourite.
Yeah. Here's Crane in and bowls, and Lammonby works that up to long on and takes a comfortable single, but just the 3 runs from that over. 50 is on the board, but it's taken Somerset 8 overs to get there, and they've got another 12 overs in which to score 126 runs. So 10.6 runs or thereabout per over. It's a tall order.
A very tall order, especially as we mentioned, those players missing, the key batters of Banton. Now I've forgotten the rest, but called up to that provisional England squad. And we saw that, I think the key wicket was Hildreth. Giving that away, we've just seen the run rate really increase here for Somerset. And it's looking like a tall order for them to chase this down now.
Darcy Short.
And this is interesting, I was about to ask whether we thought we'd see Darcy Short, so replacing at the pavilion end, and that first one's down the leg side. McManus misses that, and it's running towards the boundary, but little divot back from the fielders working as a team. And at 2 runs there, pretty easy 2 runs to begin this over. Not the ball Darcy Short would have wanted to start with. So a wide and 2 runs. First legitimate delivery, hopefully here from Darcy Short, and that's defended by Lammonby. A lot of respect to the opening batter's bowling.
Well, I think it's sensible just to have a look before, rather than going charging down the pitch or trying to swipe him over wide mid-on.
Short in again, and a fuller delivery, and that's cut away to the deep cover fielder for just a single. It's interesting you say that, how in the previous over we just saw from Mason Crane, we saw 2 reverse sweeps on the first ball, and someone of Crane's almost, in and around the England setup. But to Darcy Short here, we've just watching it, and I guess it comes into play. You don't really want to get out to a part-time spinner such as Darcy Short. Just a change of field here as he makes sure his deep mid-wicket is in spot for the right-handed Bartlett. Past the umpire, he bowls flat delivery, cut out again to the deep cover fielder. To our right, just for the single. Tom Prest fielding that one. More changes of field with this right-hand, left-hand combination. Darcy Short in a flatter delivery and clipped off the legs easily of Lammonby just for a single, but it's a similar situation we saw in the Hampshire innings. Lots of singles, but need some boundaries here.
Well, I think, the big shots are hard to time on this pitch. And we could see by the number of overs of spin that Somerset bowled that it's a pitch more for the spinners than the seamers.
Short bowling to Bartlett, and it's swiped up in the air, straight to the bowler, and that's another wicket for Hampshire. Easy wicket, caught and bowled Darcy Short. And another wicket falls for Somerset.
Well, credit the bowler for that. Maybe it just stopped a little bit on Bartlett, who was going for the big shot. The one that he pulled off a couple of overs ago into the stand away to our left, but on this occasion went straight up in the air, and a straightforward catch to the bowler himself, and Somerset's innings going from bad to worse, I'm afraid.
I understand the pain of the fielders out there tonight, because as soon as that ball went in the air, I lost it in the floodlights as well. So it's a tough life up here in the commentary box. New batter coming to the crease. Who do we have? Van der Merwe coming into the crease. Obviously a highly experienced campaigner, but with a lot to do here for Somerset. 120 runs still needed, and almost 9 overs gone. 1 ball remaining in this over from Darcy Short. Just a chat here between Chris Wood and Darcy Short, the step-in captain for Hampshire, captaining his first game, as we mentioned earlier today.
Roloff van der Merwe, the Bulldog.
Is that, isn't it?
That's his nickname, yeah, and he lives up to it as well.
Short final ball of this over into Van der Merwe, who perhaps a thick edge down there to third man for no run inside the ring. At the end of the over, Somerset 56 for 5 off 9 overs.
Oh dear. Well, they started off badly in this competition, Somerset. They lost their first 2 games to Essex and Surrey, both at the county ground in Taunton. And then they came roaring back with a good win against Kent. They beat Gloucestershire for the first time in 6 years at Bristol. Tremendous win against Kent again down in Canterbury. Not so good against Essex at Chelmsford. And they did just enough against Middlesex last Friday in a game that was eventually decided by Duckworth Lewis. Right, Mason Crane to bowl another over. He's bowling to Van der Merwe, who turns that away into the Lamonby rather, who turns that away into the onside, just for a single. 57 for 5, 176 the target.
My adamant comments at the beginning of this game that Somerset were going to win according to my stats have completely ruined them here. So my apologies to the Somerset dressing room.
Here's Mason Crane to Van der Merwe, who's fiddling that into the offside, a wristy little shot, looking for the second run, which isn't there. Sun just setting away to the west. Plenty of blue sky overhead, rose-tinted clouds. Crane is in and bowls, and this is a sweep and should be taken. And that's another wicket.
And again, dropping like flies here, the Somerset batters. You were
There's poor Tom Lamonby. He's just been swatted.
such a wicket that I was too worried about you choking here in the commentary box, and a wicket falling in front of us, and I was somehow still bewitched by the beautiful scene of clouds he'd set before us. And another wicket falls, and Hampshire must be over the moon after this campaign we've had. Statistically, they could still get there, so they must be keeping that dream alive here out at the Ageas Bowl today.
And a catch for young Toby Albert. It wasn't the most difficult catch that he will ever take in his no doubt distinguished cricketing career.
I don't know, those ones which just, I was saying to Kevin
It's
earlier
probably
this week,
spinning
and floating towards you, and time just slows when you've got to think about it.
When you can actually hear the wretched thing spinning in the air.
I remember at university we had our big varsity game coming up, and I had three nights in a row recurrent nightmares about dropping a ball at cover, and it was the worst 3 nights sleep I've ever had.
Here's Mason Crane in and bowls to Roloff van der Merwe. They did actually cross while that ball was in the air, and they take a single. 59 for 6. Somerset not putting up a good performance here this evening, to put it mildly. Crane is in and bowls, and Ben Green defends. And thank you for those of you who've pointed out to me on Twitter that this is not Max Waller's first time as captain of Somerset's T20. He did actually captain them here about 5 years ago, in the last game of that particular campaign, when Somerset were heavily beaten, as I suspect they're going to be here this evening. That's a single played up to long on.
Would take quite the miracle now for Somerset to come back from this. Still 116 runs needed to win.
64-6 then at the halfway point. And I'm trying to remember what Hampshire were, but they were 70-something for 4, weren't they?
Yeah, so a distressing power play for Hampshire, but they managed to pull it back. Not quite the same story here for Somerset, as those early wickets have just continued to plague the away team here today. And we have Darcy Short continuing for his second over, so spin the way to go here tonight at the Ageas Bowl. Short into green, who bottom edges that straight back to the bowler, almost all that. Maybe he's been watching Wimbledon with that shot. Quite a very good forehand there.
He's a strong lad, is Ben Green, 6'2" tall, good pair of shoulders on him. Can hit the ball a long way.
Short past the umpire. Again to Green, a fuller delivery straight up in the air and caught at extra cover. Another wicket falls for Somerset, 60 for 7, and such a giving away these wickets now. Almost a replica of that catch we saw Max Waller put down in the first innings for Somerset.
Well, who knows, that could very well have been the turning point, the Max Waller drop off Joe Weatherly. That wasn't hit quite so hard by Ben Green. It was rather a feeble shot, in all honesty.
Catching practice.
Yeah, it's almost as if he was going for the drive, he realised he wasn't there, tried to check his shot, and ended up just giving catching practice to short extra cover. And
the position Somerset, of course, are in meant that Hampshire could just push in that extra cover fielder into an attacking catching position, and it pulled through, and spin continues to break through this Somerset batting lineup.
Well, this is lining up to be one of the heaviest defeats that Somerset have suffered in T20 cricket. I haven't got a list of Somerset heavy defeats. You'll be listeners in Somerset will be glad to know. But well, it's been a very poor performance. They didn't bowl very well. Their fielding was scrappy. Put a couple of catches down, and the batting has been abysmal.
4 balls remaining in this over for Darcy Short. 2 wickets now for the part-time leg spinner. De Lange on strike, the new batter at the crease. As Darcy Short comes in a full ball, just clips straight back to the bowler for another dot ball.
Well, Marchant De Lange knows only one way to bat.
Yes.
And that's to
go big or go home.
Yeah.
Short past the umpire. Bowls. A flatter delivery and swiped away by De Lange to the deep mid-wicket fielder, but just for the single.
He takes a sort of baseball stance, does Marchant De Lange, you know, as just like whatever they call them in baseball, the hitters.
We don't know the technicalities of baseball.
Kevin will
here.
tell me what it is.
Short pass of stumps, and that's cut away towards the extra cover region. The deep cover fielder has a lot of work to do, but they stop it in. Somerset sneak through for 2 runs there. So 2
batter,
runs.
Perhaps.
Just a batter. Striker. Is it a striker maybe? Nonetheless, he's an attacking batter at the crease here, but I doubt he'll be here to wait along very much. Van der Merwe on strike now, 4 runs to his name. Short in, fuller delivery, and that strikes Van der Merwe on the pads, but I suspect going down leg stump.
Yeah, I think it probably pitched outside leg stump anyway. But well, another good over for Darcy Short.
Somerset 63 for 7 now.
Yeah.
This is when we discover that both our eyesights are just as bad as each other, and we have no idea who's bowling or what figures they're on.
Well, Mason Crane's going to bowl another over, and he has bowled 2 overs, 1 for 10. Darcy Short 2 overs, 2 for 9, and Curry 2 for 18 in 2. The bowler's absolutely on top at the moment.
An all-round comprehensive performance from Hampshire so far.
Is Mason Crane in and bowls to De Lange, who plays a defensive shot. He's not standing in quite the his normal baseball.
Has he gone into
stance.
county championship mode now?
Well, Crane is in and bowls, and he turns this away into the onside for a single. It was actually in the county championship that he was doing that against Leicestershire at the last week, at the weekend, and it was very effective. He got 75 off, I don't know, fewer than 50 deliveries. This is edged and just not quite caught by, is that Darcy Short at backward point? Or is that Joe Weatherly at backward point? And Darcy Short short to third man. Oh, he's down there. No, I think it's a Curry there. This is turned down to short fine leg. And misfield, which the crowd don't approve of at all. And it's gone away for 4 runs, so Somerset scrape up to 69 for 7.
Almost jumping over the ball there, the fielder at 45, but just going to make sure their fielding doesn't slip here at the end, Hampshire. Stay on top.
Crane is in and bowls, and De Lange just pinches a single, just pushes that gently into the offside. 70 for 7. Haven't seen any big shots yet from Big Marchant. He's faced just 5 deliveries, showing great restraint. Van der Merwe is turning that into the onside, and we'll pick up a single. 71 for 7. I wonder, Melissa, whether these two have set themselves just to try and get through as many overs as possible, so as to limit the damage to Somerset's net run rate, because that could easily be an important factor in deciding who goes through.
I think so, and these two have batted together so many times. They'll be able to go into the middle and go, look, let's be here at the 20th over, set ourselves that target, and perhaps why we're seeing a more restrained De Lange here at the crease. That will be frustrating for Hampshire, because they'll want to wrap up this game, they'll want to bowl out the opposition. So if these two can stay until the end, it's not quite the defeat it would have been otherwise. Yeah. We have a change of bowling here, as who is coming back at the pavilion end? Is that Curry?
Or is it?
Or Wheel?
I think it's Brad Wheel, isn't it?
Brad Wheel coming back. So far bowled 2 overs for just the 4 runs. Yeah, Brad Wheel. Van der Merwe on strike. Past the umpire bowls, and that's on the back foot, just clipped down to third man, rather intentionally by Van der Merwe, just for the single.
Yeah, I think they're just going to hang around for as long as possible, pick up as many 1s and 2s as they can. If the ball's there for a big shot, they'll play it. But
I just don't think it's been that wicket for the big shots, and I think that's why Somerset will be so disappointed in how they fielded earlier today, because this is a game of 1s and 2s here today, but those dropped catches and those misfields, they've really let them down and allowed Hampshire to get such a big total. We'll pass the umpire for the ball, and that's just edge off the side of the bat into cover and caught. Another wicket for Hampshire, another inside edge off the bat, or a leading edge into the covers, and another simple catch for the Hampshire fielders, as De Lange has gone for only 2 runs? 7 runs, apologies. And Van der Merwe left stranded at the crease as his teammates collapse around him. Another leading edge from the Somerset batters, and just showing this pitch has got a bit too paced. There's a bit of stick in it, and there's definitely been something for the bowlers this entire evening.
Yeah, and I've just had a tweet from James Bowditch with a photograph of him and Andrew Frampton saying not the best evening for travelling supporters from Dorset. They are up from West Dorset.
Gosh, and we know what the travel can be like coming from the West Country to here on a Friday evening, as we were mentioning. So quite the trek for these away supporters who are lining the balcony of the Hilton around us. But Somerset 72 for 8 now. Hampshire close to securing their next win of this competition. Just clutching its strings here in the T20 Blast group as we're past the umpire. And that ball tucks up the batter. There's a slightly muffled appeal by the bowler, but again, a very optimistic appeal. Another dot ball. A good over so far from Wheel. Only 1 run off it so far.
Martin Woodley tweets, lowest score of 82 against Kent in 2010 in danger. You say that again.
I do love a broken record though, so.
Not this, like this sort of broken record.
Wheel, 4th ball of the over, past the umpire. Bowls, and that's a Yorker length delivery, clipped out to deep third man, just for a single, fielded by Mason Crane there. Bringing Brooks, who is the new batter, onto strike for his first delivery.
Lots of adverse comment from Somerset supporters on Twitter about the quality of their batting here this evening, most of which is unrepeatable.
I think if I was a Somerset batter, I would not be going on Twitter tonight and reading through these comments. Bit of a shot to the ego. 2 balls remaining in this over from Wheel, past the umpire, bowls, and that's back of a length delivery, just clipped to backwards point, and to the ear next to me telling the batters, no, there's not a run there, don't be silly.
Jack Brooks is sort of ambling down the pitch. Well, Jack Brooks does have a first-class century to his name.
So very competent here to come into the crease.
Absolutely.
103 runs to win, that's easy for him, absolutely. Clear sailing for Somerset from here if Jack Brooks is at the crease.
7 overs.
He just needs to get his second 100 now. Leave 3 runs to Van der Merwe at the other end as Wheel past the stumps, and that's a back of a length tucks up Brooks for another dot ball. And Somerset now 73 for 8, nearing or still below their lowest ever score. And Wheel, an impressive 3 overs so far. 3 overs, 6 runs, 2 wickets. So very much the underrated star of this Hampshire bowling lineup tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I was reading Ivo Tennant in the Times, his report on the match between Hampshire and Surrey, and saying how well Brad Wheel bowled in that.
And batted, of course, because
Yeah.
on the day I was doing commentary, he passed his highest county championship score, which was lovely to see.
Here's Mason Crane bowling his 4th and final over. This is just run up towards mid-on. They're thinking about the second run. It's never there. Never there. Not even Roloff van der Merwe would go for that, and he wasn't the one who'd be running to the danger end. It would have been Jack Brooks, who isn't as quick as he used to be. Just a single.
Van der Merwe is very quick between the wickets, though. Obviously,
He's
not the youngest player, but like a whippet between those stumps.
Yeah, he's 36 years old now, but he is incredibly fit. And he's got a real never say die character. Crane to Brooks, and Brooks is beaten by 1 outside the off stump. The leg break that from Mason Crane.
I must say, I'd love to see Van der Merwe and Sophie Luff running between those stumps and just keep going until one of them collapses. I reckon they could build up a small marathon.
Here's Crane in a bowls, and Brooks pushes it to short extra cover. Colin de Grandhomme does the fielding. 74 for 8. Somerset in the 14th over. Crane is in and bowls, and Brooks again won't get a run. I've seen some poor Somerset performances over the years in T20 cricket, but this is right up there with some of the very worst.
And with their impressive track record we were going through at the start of this match against Hampshire in the past.
It's Crane in and bowls to Brooks, who will get a single here down to, in fact he'll get 2 as there's a misfield at short fair. In fact they're coming back for the 3rd run. Van der Merwe running to the danger end. A good piece of running by Roloff van der Merwe. 77 for 8. Yes, it's and although Somerset are missing at least 4 of their first team, if you can call it that, in Tom Bounce and Tom Abel, Lewis Gregory and Craig Overton. This is whipped away into the onside by Van der Merwe just for a single. 78 for 8 at the end of the 14th. There's really no excuse. It's been a poor performance all round. They were poor in the field, they dropped catches, and they've batted seemingly without any real plan. Once Devon Conway was out in the first over, it's been all downhill from there.
Absolutely, and just to say, an impressive 4 overs there from Mason Crane, who's finished with 4 overs, 23 runs and 1 wicket. So leading that spin attack as usual for Hampshire. We'll continue. Oh, apologies. We have Darcy Short returning from the pavilion end. Bowled 2 overs already, 2 wickets. So hoping to maybe tempt Van der Merwe into a big shot here. But the type of player he is, I'm sure he will continue to knock it round as a short ball from Short is swiped through the offside, and that will be 4 runs to Van der Merwe. Loose ball from Darcy Short and dispatched. I think Van der Merwe here looking just to be there till the end, making sure that Somerset do not go down in total disgrace. But understandably a disappointing performance as Short passed the stumps. A more floated delivery now, and it's in the air, but straight in the gap between those 2 fielders, splits them, and 6 runs to Van der Merwe. Perfectly placed between that deep mid-wicket and long-on fielder. So selected his over carefully here, going off Darcy Short.
We got one optimist anyway. Emlyn Middleton tweets, with Roloff still there, who knows?
Short past the stumps, a fuller ball, and it's taken. Lewis McManus takes off at the bails, but I do not think Van der Merwe even left the crease then. And I agree with the optimism of that. I don't think this performance today has quite reflected the depth of Somerset. I think that's why they'll be so disappointed.
Yeah.
Short 4th ball of the over to Van der Merwe, who comes down the wicket a few steps and just cuts that to backwards point as they get through for a single. Very on the go here, Van der Merwe, just looking to generate just this bit of pace. And I mean, it's all practice in the middle.
Yeah, he's a busy cricketer and assertive cricketer, and he'll give it everything he's got.
Short bowling to Brooks, who swipes that away into the leg side to the deep square leg fielder. De Grandhomme picks up.
And we have passed our lowest score in T20 cricket, which was 82 against Kent in 2010. So
where's
thank
the
goodness
round of
for
applause
that.
for this one? Come on, crowd. 1 ball remaining in the over. Darcy Short just adjusting his field here to Van der Merwe and pushing that deep cover fielder just more into a straighter position for that cut shot from Van der Merwe. Final ball, flatter delivery, and straight down the ground goes Van der Merwe for 1 bounce, 2 bounce, 4 runs. Great way to finish the over, and a strong over from Somerset. Where was this at the beginning of this?
Well, he's just got his eye in now as Roloff Van der Merwe. He's 25 he's got from 17 deliveries, 94 for 8. So what do we need? Another 82 in 5 overs. Well, you know. Thank you very much, Melissa. That's Melissa's story. Fine cricketer and very, very promising commentator.
Not bad for a first T20.
Excellent. And Kevin James, a very happy-looking Kevin James.
Well, it makes a change in this tournament.
You haven't always been happy when we've been together
previously
this season, so it's Hampshire.
Will you allow me to be happy tonight?
Oh, absolutely, I think, you know.
No, you guys have had the better of us most of the time, haven't you?
Well, that championship win here was absolutely critical. Here we have got Scott Curry coming back into the attack. He's in and bowls to Brooks, who will pick up 4 runs. Not sure that was entirely where he was aiming, but the ball flew off thick edge and managed to bisect the 2 fielders at third man, very wide third man and cover. So 98 for 8, Somerset on the verge of reaching 3 figures. Curry to Brooks, makes room for himself. That's up in the air and will land short of the fielder, running in from the cover boundary, and they take just the single. Jack Brooks moves on to 9.
I think Dave Allen tweeted earlier, and I've missed it. I think Somerset's lowest all-out total against Hampshire is 98, so they're better that as well. It's not been a bad night, really, for Somerset, has it?
Well, it's been a terrible night. Absolutely dreadful. Here comes Curry again to Rolf van der Merwe, who drives that away. It's in the air. Brad Wheels underneath it, takes the catch. And that is the end of Rolf van der Merwe. And his defiant little innings comes to an end. I think James Fuller took the catch.
I mean, you can never write a game off, or Van der Merwe's there, but I think even for him, it's a bit of a tall order. It's nearly 17 and over Somerset need from here.
Yeah, James Fuller it was.
Well,
a defiant little innings, as I said, from Rolf van der Merwe, and he's carried Somerset almost to 3 figures, 99 for 9. Somerset are, but even so, it's been I wouldn't say a humiliating evening, a very, very disappointing evening for Somerset cricket followers.
I mean, it goes like that in T20,
yeah,
doesn't it, really?
Yeah.
One side gets a total which looks pretty decent. You struggle early on, that's it.
Here's Curry in and bowls to Brooks, who gets that down to long leg and brings up the 100. Come on, New Hampshire crowd, give the Somerset. Ooh, or just here.
No.
One or two Somerset followers in the balconies of their hotel, on the balconies of their hotel rooms. Oh look, no, there we are. Thank you very much, Ageas Bowl. That's good. That's good. Nice round of applause.
Begrudgingly.
Here's Curry to Max Waller. What an evening for Max Waller. I suppose I can't really bring myself to interview him at close of play. Well, poor chap, he's bowled 2 overs for 25. He's dropped Joe Weatherly, who went on to score 50, and he's seen his batsman collapse like a house of cards. Curry to Waller. Taken on the pad, appeal for LBW, and given! And that is that. So Somerset are all out for exactly 100. Max Waller, LBW to Curry without scoring, and Hampshire have won by 75 runs. And nothing but dust and ashes for Somerset in this game this evening. They were poor in the field, their bowling wasn't up to very much, and once Devon Conway went in the first over, it was a procession.
Yeah, I think the best thing about the Somerset innings was this song going on right now, Sweet Caroline. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's been a one-sided affair, that's for sure. But Hampshire have been on the receiving end quite a few times, not just this season, over the last 2 or 3 seasons. So we'll enjoy the Hampshire victory tonight. And of course, it's back-to-back victories as well in this competition. And happy to say that whilst it's not good news for Somerset and their quest to finish in the top 4 come the end of the group stages, although they're still in with a very good chance, the good news is that Hampshire are finally off the bottom of the T20 South group. So that's good news. Back-to-back victories is good news. Some good performances as well. Weatherly, certainly Lewis McManus with a career best 60, certainly good for him. And in the bowling department, 4 for 24 Scott Curry to back up those 4 wickets he got down in Taunton. So he obviously enjoys bowling against Somerset. But it's been a really good performance tonight. It never looked like being a close game, that's for sure, Anthony. But you know, well, listen, Somerset will come back again.
Somerset were on top. I mean, they picked up 3 Hampshire wickets in the power play, 36 for 3, whatever it was, 33 for 3. And then they dropped those 2 catches, and particularly the Weatherly drop, and they gave away too many runs. Hampshire had a bit of luck with the bat, but Somerset fielding was not up to its normal standard, nowhere near. And as I was saying, with the bat, once Devon Conway got out in the first over, well, the rest, I'm afraid, offered very little resistance at all.
Yeah, it's been very one-sided, as I say. Somerset coming into this game, having won 6 of their last 7 that they played, certainly didn't look a side like that tonight. But you take away your big players, your Bantons, your Jamie Overtons, it's a different kettle of fish. And you know, Hampshire are the same without James Vince, but fortunately, you know, Weatherly came to the party, McManus came to the party. You know, Albert and Prest, 13 and 5 today. They'll come back, but they look good players. They're teenagers. You know, I'm sure we're going to see more of them in this competition over the next few seasons. But tonight is all about Hampshire, that's for sure.
Yeah, a sorry evening for Somerset, and it means that, well, they're probably going to need to win their last 2 games. That's away against Glamorgan at Sophia Gardens on Friday evening, and then the big one, home game against Gloucestershire, the old rivals, at the county ground at Taunton next Sunday afternoon. Nothing but 2 wins, I suspect, will do.
No. Well, Somerset currently remain third at the table with 14 points, but Hampshire not only have come off the bottom, but they've moved up 2 places to 7th with 9 points, 2 points behind Essex, a point ahead of Glamorgan, and 2 points ahead of Middlesex, who lost to Gloucestershire earlier. Gloucestershire moving up to second. Thank you very much, Anthony. I know
Great
you
pleasure,
haven't
Kevin,
really enjoyed it.
I wouldn't say it. The cricket hasn't been a great pleasure. Your company and Melissa's company most certainly has.
Brilliant. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Melissa. More from Melissa with Hampshire T20 commentaries later on. Reg Maru, the former left-arm spinner, will be joining me as well for some T20s between now and the end of this group stages. But for now, happy to say that Hampshire's 3rd win of the season has resulted in a 75-run victory over Somerset.